The team is greater than the individual. It's a message resonating deep within these two teams. Both sides boast a listed medalist in their armoury. However, it's the way these teams gel that saw these clubs finish 1 and 2 in 2013. It's a familiar feeling for the Cats. This time last year, a team of youngsters ran hardened Port Melbourne bodies off their feet on their way to their first flag since 2007.
He'll do it himself. George is the king, and Geelong are home.
After annihilating Williamstown in last weekend's preliminary final, the Geelong juggernaut now rolls onto the biggest stage of all. These Cats have claimed a club record 13 straight wins and have just one more job to do.
Been good so far. Play our brand of footy. When you're not involved in the attack, start thinking defensively how we can shut it off. Let's go, Mark.
Their opponent is an ominous one. A dominant preliminary final performance has the Hawks eyeing a bigger prize. Their round 3 encounter at the Cattery saw Box Hill's blueprint come oh so close to knocking off the reigning premiers.
This needs to be a contest here from the Box Hill player at the back. Here's Simpkin, found some space, bouncing ball through for a goal.
Potent up forward, classy through the middle and experienced in defence. The Hawks will be confident of claiming that elusive crown.
Box Hill has finally won a premiership.
12 years have elapsed since Box Hill raised their one and only premiership cup. And Damien Carroll knows it will take a Herculean effort to add another cup to the trophy cabinet.
We've got to be really strong in the contest, fellas. It's really important.
4 quarters of footy remain. The two best teams in the competition battle for the VFL Premiership. Will Geelong go back-to-back? Or can Box Hill claim its first flag in over a decade? This is the 2013 VFL Grand Final.
Just 2 short nights ago, the men in the blue and white and brown and gold provided us with one of the great games of football that we've seen in recent years. Today, their VFL affiliates arrive at the Dockland Stadium for the biggest prize outside of the AFL, the VFL Premiership of 2013. It is the grand final between Geelong and the Box Hill Hawks, and it is a big welcome to the Docklands, everyone, for the showpiece game in the VFL in 2013. David Rhys-Jones, as always, in the expert comments chair, and we've got the best 2 teams in the competition fighting it out, Rhys.
Yeah, we certainly have 1 and 2, and that's what we saw during the year. They're by far the best 2 teams in the competition, and they're here on the big stage today, and it's going to be a great match.
In light of that result the other night for Geelong, could it have a deflating effect on the football club, or might it be an added incentive to get some form of consolation here?
Yeah, look, I think they're playing for silverware, and it's back-to-back flags in the VFL for this Geelong team too, which is a remarkable effort. And I think it goes to show with both of these teams why they're so strong at AFL level, because of the depth that they do carry on their lists, and you'll see some wonderfully talented young players out there today.
And the Box Hill Hawks are playing for silverware as well, but for 1, 2, maybe 3 of their players, the possibility exists that they might be playing in the first of 2 grand finals in a week.
Well, that's it. There's definitely one with Whitecross's injury, and there could be another couple of changes. You never know what's going to happen during the week, an injury at training or so forth. So you want to be in good form today to press your case for selection in the Hawthorn AFL team next week.
The margin was 5 points when they played in round 3. Different personnel. Geelong have got 13 players from that game. Box Hill 15 players from that game. So not vastly different, but quite a few differences in the playing regime.
Yeah. And that was a great game too. And look, I think it's really sets it up for the 2 best teams in the competition playing each other on Etihad. It's a great stadium here, so let's hope that the game and it really is going to get down to who spreads the best, who attacks the most, and that's why I think Geelong really does have a little bit of an edge there.
Well, as you mentioned before, they have such a great rivalry, these teams, and it should result in a pretty good crowd here at the Dockland Stadium today. And joining the crowds as they make their way into the ground is my co-commentator Darren Boyd.
Footy at its highest level is all about passion. It is all about mateship. It is all about respect, and it is all about rivalry. For weeks and months, we've been talking about rivalry. We saw it in its purest form last Friday night with Hawthorn and Geelong. And here we are again with a huge crowd forming. They are flocking in to see the Box Hill Hawks and the Geelong Cats do battle in a grand final. It is the biggest stage that the VFL has to offer. Since this competition took its current shape in 2000, these sides, these alignments, the attitude of these clubs have remained unchanged. And here they are again. The Hawthorn alignment with Box Hill is so strong, and the Cats, who have built a dynasty and started back in the draft of 1999 through to the present day, are looking to create a little bit more history. Honour boards are not being packed away. They are being built upon by these two proud clubs, and another chapter is going to be written today, and we look forward to it.
Darren Boyd, who will be joining us in the commentary box. Here come the Cats through the banner. 14 of these players played in the Premiership last year. They've captured the VFL flag in 2002, 2007 and 2012. They thrashed Willie by 82 in the first preliminary final last week. They've won their past 13 games by an average of 68 points, and their only two losses were by 13 points to Collingwood and the Scorpions. They finished 3 games clear on top of the ladder, and that tells you something about Geelong.
Yeah, look, they've been a dominant team in the competition this year. A lot of these players have played, the majority of the year in the VFL as well, so they know each other's game very, very well. Very strong team, and that forward line, Bathy, Walker and Kirsten, that's really where it does set them up.
And speaking of Shane Kirsten, he is a very important player. He's got a kick like a mule. He was in the goals last week, and he was very close to coming into the Geelong AFL team on Friday night, named as an emergency. He stands as a very important cog in the wheel today.
Yeah, and kicked 4 goals and a half, and they rested him in the second half. So, he'll be nice and fresh today. And he's a big, strong power forward, and he'll have an impact today.
Matthew Knights knows what it's all about. He captured the flag last year with the Cats, and a short time ago, Phil Cleary was able to catch up with the Geelong coach.
Matty Knights, it's one thing to be a premiership coach, but to go back-to-back, it's a dream for so many people in football. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, like the players, I'm sure a little bit nervous, but keen to get the game on now. It's been a big wait. Friday night was an amazing game of footy between the two clubs. So we adapted. We had a nice training session yesterday morning, and the boys are ready to go.
Does the fact that the Cats lost in any way impact on the energy of your side?
Well, I'm sure the guys were really emotionally attached to the game on Friday night, and it was disappointing, but the reality is they were in really good spirits yesterday morning. It's not every day players get to play in a grand final. It's 7 or 8 months of hard yards to get to this point, so we're pleased to be here. The players are pleased to be here, and I'm sure it's going to be a cracking game with Box Hill.
They're being tight. This should be no different.
I think it might be pretty similar to last year, I've got a feeling.
Well done.
Thanks, mate.
Matthew Knights, the Geelong coach. Here come the Box Hill Hawks. They are 15-5 throughout the season so far. They beat Werribee by 52 in the second preliminary final last week and looked very good in doing so. Geelong's in good form, Box Hill in good form as well. They've won their past 7 by an average of 42 points, and they are the best defensive team in the competition from the home and away season, and quite often, Reece, the best defensive team finishes up winning the flag.
Yes, well, the best team in the AFL we've seen defensively has been Fremantle, and they're going to be hard to beat next week. Box Hill only just best defensively over Geelong, but they can carry that in, but they really need to be rock solid today because their defensive skills will have to be on show. Shane Savage, look, he was terrific last week, kicked 5 goals, and you think on his form at the moment he would be the player to go up, but he's got to put it together today as well.
I guess Taylor Duray is another one there, and Jed Anderson perhaps, who might be in the frame. Let's hear from the Box Hill Hawks coach, a great man for this competition, Damien Carroll, who spoke to Phil Cleary a short time ago.
Damien Carroll, there are always disappointments in a grand final side. Daniel Pratt, your captain, not playing today.
Yeah, no, look, it's disappointing for Daniel, as Tom Gordon, Sam Cust and Mitch O'Donnell played last week. Really good players for us, and unfortunately we had to leave out guys. Daniel being the captain, obviously, look, he threw his heart and soul into it this year, but look, we just felt that 2 games in the last 10 weeks wasn't the best preparation for him or us to take him into a grand final of this magnitude.
You're a man who's played in 3 premierships with the old Springvale, now the Casey Scorpions. You played in 3. Now you come in as a coach. What's the difference?
Well, you can't get too many kicks, I know that, but look, I think we just have to try and relax and give some positivity to the boys about how they've been able to get in this opportunity throughout the course of the year, and then I suppose you just got to use your mind. We can't use our legs up there in the coach's box. We just got to have some clear thinking and stay pretty relaxed and try and make some good critical decisions.
This is a great side that you're coming up against. They're the reigning premier. You've gone tall in your forward half. They've got a strong midfield. How are you going to beat them?
Hopefully with our tools in the forward line. Look, our defence has been really good all year, and we've been able to restrict the opposition and be number one defensively, and they're going to have to do that job again. Look, it's intimidating, this Geelong side, but at the same time, you only have to knock them over once, Phil, so let's hope it's today.
You've done it before as a player. We wish you all the best, Damien.
Thanks, Phil. Appreciate the support.
Damien Carroll with a steely look of determination about him. This young man will probably be the same. Taylor Duray, 18 games at AFL level this year. He's possibly the man most likely after Shane Savage, and he can't be thinking about that because one thing will look after the other. If he plays well today, he puts himself in the frame and hopefully for him helps the Hawks to a premiership.
Yeah, that's it. You just need to put in a good performance today, put your hand up, say you're in good form, and then it's up to the selectors.
Shattering disappointment for Joel Selwood on Friday night, of course, but his brother Troy is out there. He's been a terrific man for the VFL competition since he's come and taken over the captaincy here, and there are the men in charge. It's Matthew Knights and Troy Selwood.
Yeah, and two great leaders, and nose over the ball. That's the only way the Selwoods know, and that's the way he goes about it.
So it's a solemn moment at the start, a moment for introspection for a lot of the players, and we saw an interesting difference in tactics with the way Geelong and Hawthorn lined up for the national anthem at the MCG on Friday night. The Hawks were brothers in arms, they linked arms, and Geelong decided to stand apart from each other, and they were very casual right up until the last minute. But this is when you know that things are about to get important. The grand final is on the line. Let's get down for the national anthem. Our master of ceremonies is Pete Laser.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Etihad Stadium for the 2013 Peter Jackson VFL Grand Final. Would you now please be upstanding and join with the players, coaches and umpires, and welcome Chloe Maggs to perform the Australian National Anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are young and free, with gold and soil and wealth for toil. Our home is earth by sea, our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every state advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, and let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Well, getting a kick in the first 5 minutes of a grand final might be hard, but I reckon that's the second hardest kick at the grand final. Wonderfully done by Chloe Maggs. That was a great rendition of the national anthem.
Yeah, it certainly was, and interesting to see, as you mentioned beforehand, the Hawthorn boys were pretty tight together and the Geelong boys standing apart. Look, I don't think it makes any difference whatsoever. It's how you apply yourself when that ball is bounced.
We look at the players now, Reece. You've been out there before grand finals, and they're just doing a bit of a bumping exercise. You almost crave the contact in the first few minutes of a grand final. You want to feel the hit. You want to feel the body pressure.
Yeah, and you want to get the ball. You just want to get a touch on the ball, and that's the most important thing. So just got to work hard. That's the whole key to it. There's no secret to success. The harder you work, the luckier you get.
Well, we talked about the curse going into Friday night's game, and there's not one here, but it's a mini one, I guess you could say, because the Cats have won their past four against the Box Hill Hawks. The Hawks' last win over Geelong was round 16, 2010 at Box Hill. That's a little while ago now. Does it count for anything right at this moment now?
I think this Geelong team's been so good they've won their last four or more against a lot of other teams. No, I don't think it counts for anything. It counts on how you really just do the little things, the one percenters, and that's what you really need to do well today. The rest of it takes care of itself.
Gee, it was only a few short weeks ago that we saw Troy Selwood heading off to hospital with a dislocated shoulder and looked as though his season might be in tatters, but here he is along with David Mirror in the middle of the ground tossing the coin. Roof is on here, and I think that's good for everyone.
Do it again,
and so
just give it a flick.
It didn't quite spin, so we'll have
That's
a take two.
What do you got, heads? Heads it is, boys. Good luck.
And Troy Selwood has won the toss and will kick to the left to the Lockett end as we look at things here in the first quarter. And as we say, I think it's probably a good thing that the roof is on because it makes conditions better for everyone. Let's find out about those conditions as we head down to the ground. Darren Boyd is down there, and with him, a man who wouldn't miss this for quids. Phil Cleary, good afternoon to you both.
Pete and Reece, Phil, it's magnificent to be down here. I can feel you getting a bit emotional with the roar of the crowd, and it is an excellent crowd that's built here today under the roof.
Look, it's a big crowd, and what we saw last night with Fremantle was a new level, a new layer of intimidation, physical and psychological. You can't belt people anymore, but gee, Fremantle have found a different way. They're almost a metaphor for the old game, and I tell you what, I feel it today. I think physically the sides have to be on their money, on the mark early.
The irony of that, of course, is if you compared this to the two teams left in the AFL, the Box Hill Hawks are more like Fremantle rather than their AFL cousins in Hawthorn, and AFL brothers, I should say, Phil, and you feel like they're the ones that really have to bring that intensity.
Well, that's right, and they've got to knock Geelong over in those heavy midfield contests, but Darren, they go in with a very tall forward line. I know there's talls everywhere, but they can play as many as three real talls. If they catch the ball in these still conditions under the roof, danger. I can't see there being much in the game. And for Matty Knights, the opportunity to go back to back, there's nothing like it. There's energy out here. This will be some game.
Who's going to win, Phil?
I reckon Geelong, but I tell you what, she'll be tight, and there'll be plenty of nerves in this for both sides.
Absolutely. They're just about ready, guys. Back up to you. It should be a great game.
Thank you, Darren. Thank you, Phil. And a good crowd in at the Dockland Stadium for the decider in 2013. Will Geelong add to their flags of 2002, 2007 and 2012 already? There's a bit of push and shove going on. Jonathan Segler getting himself involved. Jackson Sheringham also involved. Nerve endings on edge here. Can the Hawks add to their premiership of 2001? Umpires Sean Gleeson, Brett Ritchie and Robert O'Gorman get the VFL Grand Final of 2013 underway. And it's West and Loudon in the first contest. And Loudon wins it decisively down to Hall and Smith, who's going to be a very important player for the Cats today. The Liston Trophy winner, Schroeder getting underneath it. Kirsten knocked it down. Taylor Hunt got the toe. Genie got the football. Gave it to Wanganeen to Isles as they run through the middle of the ground. Osborne tries to farm off the handball, but good pressure came from Mitch Brown. It was West who tumbles the ball forward. Lacked a bit of purpose, the kick though. And Duray was able to get back there and give it to Spanger. He's got a man out wide and the delivery was good. And that man is the son of the gun in Will Langford, who had a good game last week. Up in the direction of half forward. Ball comes to the ground. Sheringham was searching for it. Tobin has been a goal kicker for the Hawks so far this year. He's wrapped up in a strong tackle by Sheringham. And we'll have the first stalemate after 1 minute. David Rees-Jones keeping an eye on the matchup. Umpire Robert O'Gorman gets it in the air. West got a fingertip to it. Selwood trying to do something constructive with it. Nicely done by Hallahan. Out to Simpkin against his old team. He's been in the Geelong team the past couple of years, the best and fairest player, and that's the way to start against your old mob. Jonathan Simpkin kicks the first goal of the grand final.
Yeah, and a great start for Simpkin, but also for the Hawks too. And important to get some scoreboard pressure on and put some doubts in this very good Geelong team's mind. They've got a lot of young players out there, Geelong, and you just need to get that into their mind and get them thinking a bit.
Just looking at some of the matchups, Reece, it looks as though Taylor Hunt has got the job on Sam Isles. Yep. That's a big job for him today because he's such a playmaker. They're on the far wing over there on the City side of the ground. So first blood to the Hawks. Loudon taps it down. Hall and Smith landed awkwardly there. He's got a grimace on his face. George Hall and Smith, as his leg was trapped underneath Langford. Unfortunately, no damage done.
Yeah, Langford has got the job on Hall and Smith, who is a very good player.
Stringer and Locke running together. West had a fresh air swing, and it was an extravagant one at that. Osborne in there lays the tackle. Umpire says holding the ball, and the advantage is paid. Hallahan out to Isles, who break away from his tag, and then he got some attention. So it's going to be Sam Grimley, by the look of it, who might get the kick. No, it's going to be Retzlaff, in fact, who's going to take it.
Well, he's a thumping kick, Retzlaff, so the distance won't be a problem. Just a matter of accuracy, but a little bit of ill discipline there. You don't need that free kicks downfield.
Former Brisbane Lion has played 11 games at the top level, Bryce Retzlaff. It should be a question of accuracy because, as Reece said, he thumps it. He's going to kick it from 51 metres. Contact is good, accuracy not so good. And he misses to the left-hand side. First blemish goes on the board for the Box Hill Hawks, who are doing all the attacking in the early stages of the grand final. Mitch Brown has had a pretty good year. The club really pleased with his development. Kicked it in the direction of Bathy. They're winning the 50-50 balls at the moment. Savage's kick was smothered. Wanganeen did it nicely. Cheney hoists it high inside the 50. One hand by Segler. Comes to the back. Here's Loudon, and he'll dribble through another one. It's being played at one end of the ground at the moment. And look at the positive body language coming from the Hawks. Luke Loudon gets the second goal of the grand final. And they have got a very handy little buffer after not even 4 minutes.
Yeah, and good skills by the big fella. That's not an easy kick, but he made it look easy. And able to get on the end of the handball there. Terrific work by Loudon, and a great start by the Box Hill Hawks.
So they've got one from a crumbing player and one from the taller brigade that Damien Carroll was talking about at the start of the game. Terrific start for Box Hill, and it is being played at the right-hand end of the ground at present. West this time wins the tap, but yet again Hall & Smith has got nowhere to go against his old teammate. Simpkin rides him down to the ground.
They're nice and aggressive, the Hawks, and that's what's... they're winning the hard balls, the contested ball at the moment.
And look at this, the two Liston Trophy winners are going at it. Schroeder and Hallahan, who stood on the stage at this very stadium a couple of weeks ago, and each got 17 votes and shared the Liston Trophy with Steve Clifton of North Ballarat. Hall & Smith finally gets some clean air, but it's intercepted by Kelly. Tumbling punt inside the 50. Sully pushing back hard. Here's Grimley running away. Is this another one? You bet it is! What a start! Sam Grimley joins the party, and with not even 5 minutes on the board, the Box Hill Hawks have got the dream start.
Yeah, and once again, it's just the clearances. They're putting a lot of pressure on the Geelong players. Hall & Smith's got his hand on it a couple of times, but has been under pressure delivering the ball, and Hawthorn have been killing them with these clearances, and that's a real worry for Geelong. They need to get their hands on the ball, Geelong, and just settle it down a bit.
Phil Cleary, this is an unbelievable start, an amazing start, just what Damien Carroll would have wanted.
Yeah, it is, Peter, but look, they're a good side, aren't they? We know on paper what they can do. There is, I just noticed an energy in the rooms that they had, which was fantastic, and Geelong needs to, look, they need to get hands on the ball. Pause for a minute, and they're looking so dangerous, the Box Hill Hawks.
They're out of the middle again through Simpkin. Sully's under all sorts of pressure. The thing is, with this kind of pressure, it just breeds it, and you can build on it. It's momentum. It's hard to stop, Reece. We know it can just take you away, but Jordan Schroeder is able to collect a free kick or earn himself a free kick. And now it's with Thurlow, wearing the number made famous by David Wojcinski for this club. It was a poor effort to mark by Sheringham. Out on the wing, it's picked up by the Hawks again. Got a couple to beat. O'Brien had 3 to bet on that occasion. Selwood needs to get involved in the game, steady some of these young heads that surround him. Sheringham picks up the footy. He's kicked it to a nest of Hawks. Good contest by West of the Cats. Tackle applied there by Bathy. Held it up, and he won the free kick.
Shane Kirsten doing very well there against Litherland, and he will come up with the kick at right half forward. The leading goal kicker with 40 goals for the season. Kirsten's kick is long. West, a bit of push and shove from Bathy out the back though. Walker judged it well. He didn't actually take off.
No, he stayed down actually, and looked like West was going for it, but just carried that little bit extra, and it caught Spanger out too, which...
On the mark.
Gee, it's a little bit of poor defensive work there by Matt Spanger.
Yep. It was Ryan Bathy who was in the front spot, and then Walker judging it nicely. They could do with this just to stem the tide a bit. And there's the steadier. The first one on the board for the Cats. Josh Walker the son of a Geelong, or the grandson of a Geelong legend in Peter Walker, who played in a premiership team way back in the 60s, and he gets the first blood for the Cats, but they still have a bit of work to do already.
Yeah, and he's one of those players, young Walker, who is terrific at this level. Every time he's stepped up, I don't think he's got that real confidence in his ability yet at the top level, but it's going to come. He's a fine footballer.
Just 20 years of age, Josh Walker, in his second season at this level. Kicked 5 last week and has made an excellent start today. So it's West against Loudon in the ruck. The Geelong player won it, and then Selwood grabs it. Langford got into his back, and it's a free kick to the Geelong skipper. Now he's got one-on-ones ahead of him. He plays on to Taylor Hunt, showing some toe, backing himself. Could he go for goal? It won't get the trip. The contest is over the square. It's a magnificent grab. Bathy took it against a smaller opponent in Cheney. And boy, we came here expecting a good game, David Rees-Jones, and 8 minutes have elapsed, and we're about to see the 5th goal. Ryan Bathy was one of their best in the premiership win last year, and he has had an excellent start today.
He certainly has, and we mentioned at the start, Walker, Kirsten and Bathy, the tall forwards down there, they're mobile forwards too, so and very strong overhead as we see on that occasion, and a couple of marks and a couple of goals, and Geelong are right back in this, and they're a team that can score very quickly too, Geelong. We've known and seen throughout the course of this year that they didn't panic. They were 3 goals down very early in a match, and they know what they can do too. They've got some good players.
Well, what they can do is kick 100 points, because they've done it 18 times this season in their 20 games. So a good reply by the Cats. West again with the hand down. Simpkin probably used to roving to the West tap. Here's the Liston Trophy winner in Hallahan. Hurried kick forward. O'Brien in the contest. Good roving from Loudon again, though. Got it on the left foot. Geelong defence will have to be careful. Mitch Brown was vigilant, but he's only popped it straight into the hands of Xavier Murphy. He wants to get up and play on quickly, but he's within range, so he should go back and have a shot at goal.
Yeah, I don't know what he was thinking there. He got up and was looking to dish off, but when you're in kicking range, unless you've got someone who is on their own, 10 or 15 out, you go back and slot it yourself.
So a big moment early on in the grand final for the young man, who's kicked 8 goals this year, and his kick is a beauty. So they are on target early on, and they're getting it done from a mixture of the talls and the smalls. Xavier Murphy kicks the goal, and the Box Hill Hawks move out to a 13-point lead after 10 minutes in a free-flowing VFL Grand Final.
Yeah, and just a little bit of pressure on Mitch Brown there caused that kick to drop a bit short, and obviously he couldn't just head for the boundary line, so stayed in, and Murphy was on the end of it. But 6 goals in 10 minutes, this is an amazing start.
Phil, the crowd's making plenty of noise.
I fancy this is the biggest crowd we've had here, Peter, over the past handful of grand finals. They are really engaged. They've got some great character Geelong supporters. Even an older lady, I might call that, not far from me. She is so excited about the game, not about those goals. But the other thing, isn't it a good skill level game? It is so sharp. You can't turn the ball over. If you do, you pay.
It's the 6th year we've been here, and I think you're right, Phil. As Stringer goes out of the middle, kicks it to the advantage of Bathy, who marks it perfectly. They've got to have a look at that matchup. He's been able to influence one contest, which led to a goal, and take 2 contested marks against Kyle Cheney.
That was a great kick, though. Stringer just put that. You talk about, you put the kick to the advantage of your teammate, and he just put that extra few yards on it, and it had the carry there, and Cheney had really no chance on that occasion.
The former basketballer kicks his goal. He's got 2. He's got 30 now for the season. Their second leading goal scorer, and they're 3 straight Geelong. 3 inside 50s for 3 goals.
And Darren, it's not that long ago that we were seeing Ryan Bathy at the other end of the ground too. He started as a defender, and he's really made a mark in front of goals now, Reece.
Yeah, well, what we did, we saw him all last year as a defender, and he's got down forward this year, and he's just so strong. But his defensive skills, he uses them down on the forward line as well. So he's a valuable player at either end of the ground.
Well, you've got to love the way this game has started off. 7 goals, as Darren said, in the first 11 minutes. Yet again, West waiting underneath it. This time he was opposed to Segler. Corrigan dashing through. Very good VFL player, this man. got his hands to the footy, comes back to West, gives it back to Corrigan. Needs to be careful. He's got it 3 times in the space of 30 seconds. Well done, Mark Corrigan. Kick went in the Taylor Hunt direction. Mirror was there for the spoil. Good body contact. Finished up in the hands of Mirror, who got it across. Now it goes through the middle of the ground. It's Savage who pops it up inside the 50. Little nudge at the back. And the umpire says there were no hands there. Umpire Robert O'Gorman, and Sam Grimley is going to be shooting for his second. Eased his man Matthew Sully, who's in the VFL Team of the Year underneath the footy.
One out. One over Sam, it's here.
Good grab too, but this is at a frenetic pace at the moment. It just can't continue like this. You wouldn't think so anyway.
No, we're happy, but you would think the coaches are probably not at this stage with the way things are going. Developing into a shootout in the grand final. If it does become a shootout, you probably fancy Geelong.
Well, you would, because you know, they're the team who've just been able to bang on big scores week after week.
Grimley, 25 out, straight in front, and he sprayed it and has kicked it out of bounds on the full by nearly knocking the behind post out. My goodness. That won't do much for his confidence.
And Matt Sully told him all about it as well, as you would expect, races. Geelong come out of defence. Simpkin, excellent work, hard body, got it to Hallahan, who gave it up. The Cats are able to clear. It's over the line and out of play in front of Shane Savage. And also Phil Cleary. Phil, how the players looking as they come off? They working the rotations early?
Oh, they're working hard, but you know what I love about what's happening in VFL Grand Finals is they are playing for keeps now. There's no doubt about this. It's a real Grand Final in every way.
Segler, the former Collingwood VFL listed player, got a kick up forward. Sheringham got a high contact free kick, and he's obviously been learning from the Selwoods the way he was able to move into that and earn the contact. He's stuck for options. Chooses to go as long as he possibly can. Howe was the target, the 19-year-old, playing just his 5th game of VFL footy. He couldn't hit him. Now Spanger has it. Fresh from an AFL qualifying final a couple of weeks ago. That kick's not great, and it is marked well by Hamlin.
He backed himself, backed his judgment, and took the contested mark. Goes up the line from whence it came. Hawthorn favoured. The ball comes to the back. That was a low spearing kick, and so it got a bit of extra distance. Kelly quite happy to take the ball to the boundary line. He finishes up with a free kick. He wasn't expecting to get one either. Jackson Burrow, the man standing on the mark. Another son of a gun, son of Ricky. Kelly chips one over the top. It's Simpkin who has it at right half back. The Lockett end of the ground, trying to get the switch engineered. Wanganeen has got a man further out, and that is good running. Duray has run the angle. Got away from Howe, using that trusty left foot, but he didn't hit the target. Langford is able to keep the ball in play. Arches the back, tries to run away. Good persistence by the tackler. That was Buse who stuck at his task, and he did very well because it looked as though Hawthorn were going to get away. But another son of a gun in Jed Buse.
Certainly wasn't a great tackle too, because if Langford got away on that occasion, he would have been having a shot for goal.
Geelong trailing the Hawks by 7 points. Early stages, opening quarter here of the 2013 Grand Final. Langford, who kicked a couple of goals last week, tried to escape the congestion. It fell to Lock, his teammate, who rips it out of there. He's tackled by Sheringham. Schroeder then went and got it. Little kick was there. The umpires obviously telling him to keep it moving. Osborne pushes it clear. Hard work being done by all players. There is so much on the line. As we've said, they are playing for keeps. Erdley picks it up, and he's pushed over. And all the build-up is done now, and only one thing to do, and that's get the footy and try and win this premiership.
Easier. And that's where the Hawks are on top of the moment. They're winning a lot of that contested footy.
Easier said than done, Darren. That was they must have been watching Fremantle last night with that passage of play. The handball comes out, bouncing ball, Savage, goal, right place, right time. Shane Savage, who was prolific in the goal-kicking department last week with 5, got the bounce that he wanted. And the Box Hill Hawks have 5 goals in the first half of the first quarter.
And I think it was Will Langford who flicked that handball out. He just wanted the ball more. Just watch this. He just wanted the ball more than, I think it was Schroeder on the ground there, and flicked the ball out into a dangerous position. Savage was able to run onto it. Terrific work there by Langford.
Magnificent stuff from Langford. You're right, Reece. He's had a good year. Will Langford made his AFL debut against the Western Bulldogs as Savage and Sheringham having a chat about things. A boy from Bell Park and a boy from Noble Park. You wouldn't imagine either would take a backward step. We're back in the middle. It's Loudon for the Hawks against the rookie and Howe. And Savage gets the kick forward. It's inside 50 again for Box Hill. Grimley was clean bowled. Sully let it go past him as well. Hamling upended as he kicks it up towards the wing. Howell got a cruel bounce, but he actually gets a good bounce the second time around after the heavy work was done by Barham. They pile on top. We're going to have another ball up. And it was amazing watching catching the Final Story documentary on the 1989 Grand Final during the week. You've got Will Langford out here. You've got Jed Hughes, and obviously, that's another part of this magnificent rivalry between clubs wearing these colours. Up forward again go Geelong. At the back is Litherland. The West Australian is pursued by Walker. He checks himself. The kick was made okay by the captain. Good hands to Duray. He's under a lot of pressure. The Cats swarming. Burberry got it clear. Gleeson. Now Walker again for his second. He pushes it. The first blemish for the Cats. They're 3-1, Box Hill 5-1.
Cats putting some good pressure on inside their attacking 50. The thing that coaches use as a barometer for teams. Sheeny probably got the special haircut happening for the grand final. Max Bailey told us earlier in the year when he was in the expert comments chair that he's very particular about the do. Loudon's kick, short and good to Anderson. Murphy calls for it out wide. Hallahan calls for it short, and he'll get his wish. Thought about Murphy with the handball. Instead directs the kick well. It's nice delivery. They're working it nicely. Retzlaff to Anderson. Inside the 50 again. Grimley! He's causing some headaches down there, Big Sam.
Thank you. Back here.
And you just look at the quality of the skills of these players. That was just a terrific kick. And kick to advantage, put it up and out in front of Grimley. He's a big man, and having his third shot at goal, is it?
Yeah, and hopefully his confidence hasn't been shaken too much for Hawks fans after what happened previously, where he nearly missed the whole 21 yards. Matthew Sully knows he's got a task on his hands today. Sam Grimley, round about the same distance. 30 out, straight in front, and that one is elementary. Grimley's got his second goal, and the Box Hill Hawks stretch it out to 18 points already, 4 disposals, 2 marks, 2 goals for Sam Grimley.
Yeah, and the big players at both ends having a real impact, but that was just a great kick. It was just put up and out in front of his teammate, who was able to run and jump at it, and that just makes that play so much easier for a big, tall forward. And they're having a real impact.
Phil, Sam Grimley is having a real impact. The Cats have got their hands full with him today.
Look, I saw him last week in that game, and I thought he looked like an emerging player on the cusp of big things. I put that to Damien Carroll before the game. You know what? David made a very important point. The kicking is so good that the back half is under immense pressure. Their delivery is just beautiful, so you're going to have to work hard to cut them up in the middle of the ground.
Grimley kicked 3 in the qualifying final as well. He's having a splendid final series, but it's the Cats who go forward again through Taylor Hunt. Walker's the target, doesn't get the trip. Cheney under pressure, and his hand pass misses Duray. It's over the line. So an 18-point lead to Geelong. They came in as not quite unbackable favourites, but they were hot favourites. Sorry, Box Hill's in front. Sorry, Reece, you're right, but Geelong came in as hot favourites. Hartman, the youngest man on the ground, wins that hard ball, gives it to Selwood. Now Schroeder. Hallahan bears down on him and puts pressure on his kick, and it's out of bounds on the full. Those two men whose names are going to be tied together in the history of this competition, having won the best and fairest award, as Pete's already mentioned a couple of weeks ago.
And they polled exactly the same votes, Darren. The 4 best on ground, 2-2 votes, 1-1 vote. So they are linked in all sorts of ways. Matt Spanger from the back pocket. Hornsmith waiting underneath it. He was outsized in the contest. Nicely done. It was Exxon who gathered it for the Hawks and running underneath the football. Furley didn't judge it very well. Now O'Brien with a chance to get it to Segler. The bounce favoured him, and there was just enough pressure. That was well done by Matthew Sully, who stuck at the task there just when it looked as though Segler might have been able to come up with the goal, and he got just enough pressure to affect the kick, and that is a good result for Geelong.
So Stringer can try and build from full-back. They've all moved across to this broadcast side wing. So the Cats want to try and break it open and use a bit of spread in the corridor. They play a daring brand of footy, and it comes off on this occasion. Walker's called to go. Kirsten could be his target at right half forward. He's in an acre of space, and that's exactly where the kick goes. Bathy's in the goal square if he plays on quickly. He's got West as well, moving down there, but Reece, it's a bit slow. It's a bit slow.
Yeah, he had his big blokes down there on... A couple of bad matchups there, but
well, he's such a long kick.
Yeah,
the distance isn't an issue,
and that's the issue here. But I would have put that into the top of the square pretty quickly on that occasion.
Well, he's kicked 28 goals in the last 7 matches he's played, including 4 last week. He doesn't quite get the trip. They're going to contest close to the line, and it's over.
And it was only a 3-quarter kick too, Darren. It went 55.
Yeah.
Well, we've got thumping kicks at both ends. Retzlaff at the other end, or Bryce Retzlaff, I should say, for the Box Hill Hawks. Shane Kirsten for Geelong. Smets taken down a strong tackle. West impersonating a rover and needing to get a leg break, and got a straight break instead. And a minor score for the Cats. 23 minutes gone. Hope you're enjoying the action from the Dockland Stadium in the VFL Grand Final of 2013.
Trent West played in the 2007 Premiership for the Cats VFL side. The only surviving player from that team is Spanger, climbs high all over the back of West and takes a magnificent mark. Isles needs to get into the game for the Hawks.
1 minute back. Hold.
The player being called back was Jed Buse. Now Hallahan, who's been prominent early. Loudon. Over to Murphy. They've got the overlap. Does he choose to hand pass short? He does. Segler combines with Savage. Pretty open forward line on this big ground. And, well, Anderson had a man right next to him.
Thirdly, I think.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know.
Just didn't judge it.
He looked like he lost the ball, and there's no sun. The roof's on, so I don't know what the situation is there. Great mark there by Matt Spanger, and that was way too easy.
So Jed Anderson, who was effectively dropped from the Hawthorn qualifying final side a couple of weeks ago for a bloke named Rioli, which is probably not that hard to understand, but he's had a good first year at this level. He can't convert on that occasion. 6-2, Box Hill, Geelong a 3-2, 24 minutes in.
And we talked about the fact that Erdley seemed unsighted. The players do say here, Reece, occasionally that the ball can get in the lights underneath the roof. So we'll cut him some slack there and say maybe that was the case. Kirsten, that was a tumbling punt up towards the wing. West tried to apply the tackle, fend off from Osborne, got away with it. Segler gives it back. Langford got some attention, so did Spanger. Nearly had his head removed. Dominic Gleeson not sharing that viewpoint. Spanger goes on quickly, Sheringham going back, professional free kick. Exxon's got a man on inside the 50, and the young man did well. He didn't blaze away, and Retzlaff is the man who's got it, and he will shoot from 40 out on a slight angle.
Yeah, I think I mentioned before the game, it's you look at the skills of these young players, and you can understand why at the top level Geelong and Hawthorn have a lot of pressure coming from down below, and they're a good team.
Good raps on Ryan Exxon, the man who delivered the footy, the 23rd player. Retzlaff's kick is a beauty. They are sharp, the Box Hill Hawks. 7 first-quarter goals in a grand final is probably beyond Damien Carroll's wildest dreams, and they lead by 4 goals. They've probably still got 4 or 5 minutes to go. It's been a goal fest in the opening term.
Yeah, Retzlaff's been important in the last few weeks. So I saw him earlier this year. He's running around in the development league, so struggling a little bit, but he's been put up and really having an impact as a major key forward.
And he was probably one of the players on the cusp today, with Daniel Pratt, the captain, looking to come back into the side, and Tom Gordon, who was dropped from last week's side. As we see a shot there of, is that Joel Selwood there? It's hard to see there for a moment. Scott Selwood, our producer, tells us it was hard to see there with the person in front of him, but that's hard. Dom Gleeson's in trouble there. That didn't look good.
Books coming out, no doubt.
Go in. Kyle, stay out. Stay go in.
It didn't look good on the. Let's see who the Box Hill player is. He's still down.
Stay out. Right.
Coming off half back.
Right.
Kelly.
Jordan Kelly was the player that Dom Gleeson collected. Dom Gleeson not complaining too much. He's played 180 VFL games.
And that is the one that you know, that's the dangerous one, where a player has got his head over the ball. Look, I believe if a player's upright, then they should be fair game. But when they're over the ball like that, that's a dangerous position his head's in.
Not an unfair player, Dom Gleeson, and you think he took his punishment. He knew that he'd done the wrong thing, and I guess for Geelong fans, if it was going to happen to anyone, it's probably good that it happened to a player with such experience, because I imagine, Reece, and you're a good person to ask, being reported in such a big game...
What are you trying to say?
Would have to run the risk of distracting you from your main focus, I imagine.
Well, it could do.
You'd never had that problem.
Yeah, splinters Royce Jones there, sitting right on the fence with that one. It's Taylor Hunt going forward, and there's a push to Josh Walker. Litherland really giving away centimetres on the big man. And that's the case at both ends of the ground. Walker driving low ball, looking for Kirsten, who elected not to try and take the mark. Bathy was lurking with intent at the back of the pack, nothing doing. They need a goal here, the Cats. The last 3 goals of the game have come from the Box Hill Hawks after they kicked the first 3 as well. Geelong were able to work themselves back into a position of challenging. Segler and Walker comes to the back, Hamling with a snap. Here's Taylor Hunt trying to work his way through. Another snap by Hamling, right up Cowboy, over the top he goes. And this time it's Spanger who's able to work the ball out. Good chase again. Spanger's got the ball very close to the line. That's exactly what he wanted to do with it. That is a brilliant kick for touch, under pressure and all. And he was under plenty of pressure from Ryan Bathy, but he got the kick that he wanted.
Matty Knights watches on from the boundary. He's just made his way down there. He's just standing behind his players like a schoolmaster as he observes.
I should correct myself too, Darren. I think I said Hamling, but it was Hartman.
Brad Hartman down there. We are going to be, of course, listening to his coach, Matthew Knights, at quarter time as he addresses his team, who trail at the moment by 4 goals. Tackle applied by Stringer, but Langford's been really good. Got a kick away under all sorts of pressure. The Cats' defence working really hard. Schroeder's got a strong body, but couldn't break free of Jordan Kelly, who has recovered. It's good to see from that heavy collision.
There's a Geelong player down here. I think it's Buse.
Buse, yeah. Jed Buse, who was involved in that last passage. So there's he moves the umpire standing beside him. He's trying to keep an eye on things. Spanger, too many flew, and Walker weighted down. Smart play from the 20-year-old. Josh Walker kicked 5 last week. He's got 2 so far today. And the Hawks just didn't work that out properly in the defensive half as Jed Buse comes to the bench.
Well, it's interesting, as you pointed out, that the emergency umpire was out there with Jed Buse.
Yeah, look, and we'll just watch that goal being kicked on that occasion, and just well read off the pack by Josh Walker. As I mentioned, he really is a quality player at this level, and every time he's stepped up, he hasn't quite made his mark yet, but he is one player who's going to. He's got a lot of talent, just needs a bit more belief at the top level.
Phil, you're down with Jed Buse at the moment. How does he look to you as he came off?
He's in a little bit of trouble. The coach was keen to get him off. I think he'll be all right. He just probably was winded. Matty Knights, it's interesting, he's come down, he's riding every bump, but he's a calm person, isn't he? Although under that calm, I think there's a little bit of nervousness about what's happening.
Rightly so too, because Retzlaff drives them inside 50 again. That time O'Brien not able to complete it, but it's still very much in dispute. The handball comes out to Loudon. O'Brien with a handball out to Simpkin in space as he got a target inside 50. Bouncing ball eludes Anderson. Corrigan will do well to get it to the line. He ducked underneath the tackle, took them on. Smet steps over the line, and he was quite happy to do so.
I'll tell you who had a target inside 50. Trent West saw a target on Tim O'Brien's head. I think he went through and narrowly missed with the heavy contact.
Matty Knights with a bit of a smile on his face. That will change as the game goes on. You can be sure of that, especially if Hawthorn continued, or the Box Hill Hawks continue to apply the pressure they have. Hall and Smith kicking the ball forward, and Jackson Barham letting the umpire know all about the high contact that he got from Kyle Cheney through the middle of the ground, and they're spreading out wide as well. Corrigan kicks it out into vacant land. It's Thurlow. Well done, Litherland. He left his man, ran off Josh Walker, who chases hard. Great stuff by the defender, but he's run too far. Oh, how unfortunate can you be? He backed himself and he took one step too many.
Calm down.
And Josh Walker just being told to calm down by the umpire.
Push Sam Miles, down behind the play.
Well, how is it not Josh Walker's free kick? Because he was the man who was chasing. And Thurlow somehow has finished up with the free kick. Anyway, it doesn't matter because it's Geelong's ball. Isles goes in, lays heavy contact on Corrigan. Crowd on that side of the ground said they thought it was high, and the umpire said, I thought it was holding the pill.
They're involved, the crowd. This is absolutely a grand final that we had wanted, and it is delivering. 32 minutes have gone in this first quarter. They're going to be exhausted come the quarter-time siren. And it's going to be a Geelong free kick. The Cats fans see that as a little bit of justice. Thurlow with it. The lead is offered by Burberry short. He goes longer, where Walker has a couple to beat. Spanger did really well to come back with the flight to influence the contest. Wanganeen was involved, so too Spanger again. Savage clears the immediate danger. Hunt's grabbed, claimed and restricted from going on with it. Langford came in and again applied some really good pressure over the top.
Tell you what, the tackling's gone up about 10% in the last 5 minutes.
They've been good, the Hawks. Geelong hasn't been able to get that running game going that they like and using their skills.
Howe got it across to Taylor Hunt. Awkward bouncing ball. Kelly will need to be vigilant with the handball. They worked that out okay. Lutherland's kick. Just enough to clear the 50, but there was a cruel bounce. Schroeder on to Smets, who can straighten up and spot a target, and he did well. Again, not a case of blazing away, and Ryan Bathy was the man who presented the option inside 50. Well done, Billy Smets, and Ryan Bathy will kick for his third goal after the siren.
Yeah, lucky bounce there, but that happens in our game with the shape of our ball. It's an important kick here.
Well, this gets them back to within 2 goals, and that's probably about the best result they could have hoped for, really, with the Box Hill Hawks' dominance for most of the quarter. 40 out, 45-degree angle, and that won't come back far enough. So an opportunity goes begging on the siren. What a quarter of football by the Box Hill Hawks, kicking 7 goals. Their best first quarter of the season was 7-7 against Coburg in round 18, and they've come up with 7-2 at a time that is a very opportune one. In the grand final, Box Hill leads by 17 at quarter time, David Rees-Jones.
Yeah, and look, Box Hill have just been terrific at winning the contested ball and the clearances. They've been real hard and put their bodies in line with the ball. They've been terrific so far, and they've just shaken a few of the Geelong players. I was going to mention Smets, who hadn't had a great impact so far, but terrific work by Box Hill.
So at quarter time in the grand final, it's the Box Hill Hawks by 17 points. You're watching the action on Grandstand. What a first quarter it was. 11 goals in total, 7 of them to the underdogs in the game today, the Box Hill Hawks. 2 goals apiece to Walker and Bathy for Geelong, and 2 goals to Sam Grimley, who is providing a real handful inside the Box Hill Hawks 50-metre arc. Let's have a look at some of the individual numbers in the first quarter, David Rees-Jones.
Yeah, and a lot of those Geelong possessions have been kicks around corners, under pressure. The big blokes have been getting a bit of it though, Walker and Kirsten, and also Bathy, and that's important because they are the key players in that Geelong forward line, and if they're getting plenty of the ball, it's danger for the Box Hill Hawks. Box Hill Hawks, they've been terrific, and they've been winning the contested ball, which has been the most important thing. Simpkin, ex-Geelong player, he'd be loving being out here. Retzlaff has been a revelation over the last few weeks.
And it didn't take long for the action to get going, and you talked about Jonathan Simpkin, and here he is after just a minute of play, and that really would have buoyed his spirits. He would have been a nervous man going in against some of his mates today, but with a point to prove, and he proved it early.
Yeah, he certainly didn't. Even the big fella allowed, and that's a great snap for a big ruckman, but they got on the board early, Hawthorn, but the Hawks, Box Hill Hawks, but Geelong were able to get him back, and they were able to take marks inside 50, which is a danger sign for Box Hill. Walker, Bathy and Kirsten were all able to have an impact down there.
Although, when you look at their goals, the Box Hill Hawks got a good spread of goals between the talls and the smalls. It was 2 to Walker, 2 to Bathy, so it's only the tall players who are getting it done for Geelong at the moment.
Yeah, and great kicking. You just look at that kick that time from Stringer, and that's just kicking to the advantage of your teammate, and that just makes life so much easier, especially if you've got the big power forwards down there. That's terrific work.
That was a really good handball from Langford. It just presented an opportunity.
He wanted the ball more than Schroeder on that occasion, and that's what resulted in that goal.
And then Josh Walker impersonating the Rover, getting a goal at the 29-minute mark. And look at the inside 50s. It was all the Box Hill Hawks early on, but it turned out to be quite even in that department. Marks double the count in favour of the Hawks, and Geelong doing pretty well in the hit-out department with West in the middle of the ground. Trent West doing a good job in that area.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's those stats you look at them, you think it's pretty even, but when you really break it down to contested footy, and that's when you'd see the Box Hill Hawks well on top. They've really taken it up to Geelong. You know, a few of the Geelong players, they just need to settle. They need to start again. A few blokes who haven't had a good first quarter. I mean, I mentioned Schroeder. He hasn't done a great deal. Burberry has hardly been cited. And Schmetz is another player. They really need to get him getting a bit more of the ball.
Let's hear from Matty Knights at quarter time as he addresses the troops.
Same 7. Billy come up onto the wing. Wing rotation, midfield. Brad forward part of 7. Westy doing a good job in there. Corrigan and Schroeder, you're going to come in as midfield rotations. If you're winging inside mid, it doesn't matter. Okay, string you a bit in there, you can pop out, Taylor inside. Let's just keep throwing different mixes at it. But fundamentally, we have to be playing the right way in the centre bounce. Okay, to make sure we get it going the right way. Out of stoppages, their +1 is setting up a bit more off the line. If we get any rush kicks out of stoppages, we're going skinny side. Okay, if we get run and carry, well, you've got shoes then. Okay, what you need to do. Okay, skinny side quick, if we get run and carry, overlap, lead up or long. Okay, deep entries to 1-on-1, 2v2 have been really good. That second player that's not in the marking time, let's mask into ground quickly though, because they're quick to get on the ground and help out. Let's see if we can get some restarts in our forward 50, just so we can set up the game a little bit more. Okay, mids and defenders. Rather you get beaten out the back than up the front. Okay, so in the wedge, your garden space, you should be. Take out their shorts. Okay, they're fighting for the outside really well, and the reason doing is they're trying to open up the middle. So when they're fighting for the inside, cover that off, jam in the middle, close it off. Let's make them start kicking into a contest from slow plays. Okay, they didn't have to. Defenders, be brave here. You don't have to goal kick. Come up, communicate together, and we'll trial someone around for you. Okay, we're all happy with that? Yep. Last thing, stay in the contest. Let's stay in the contest and let's get this game more into a contest.
Matthew Knight's addressing the troops at quarter time. His opposite number, Damien Carroll, should be pretty content after the first quarter. He's with Phil Cleary.
Damien, 2 key messages I pick up there. Contested ball, you did well in.
Yeah, we were pretty good. Look, most of the things we were good at, we just the amount of times they went inside 50 and they scored was a worry for us. We know that for us, obviously, they're going to get more inside 50s as the game goes on, so we need to tighten up there, not just our defenders, but our mids as well.
You made a key point about the corridor. Everyone knows Geelong likes corridor. You'll concede on the periphery, but you work hard on the corridor.
Yeah, look, we think that's the best way to slow them down, so if we can try and expose them with our run on the outside as well, but just to make sure we clog that corridor, it's going to be important for us.
Ripper game.
Yeah, it's a good standard, but
you want to win it.
I'm not enjoying it that much, but thanks.
Yeah, there's the point. We're enjoying it. Coaches don't like that sort of game.
No, exactly. No. You'd want the defensive aspects to be right in play, and you can see why he's got the worries. With that tall Geelong forward line, being able to take a few too many marks. Bathy, Kirsten and Walker have been dangerous down there.
Umpire Brett Ritchie's got the football. Geelong's won 15 of their 20 second quarters this season. Box Hill Hawks have won 14 of their 20. But it is their highest scoring quarter. They've outscored the opposition by 185 points in second quarters here, so they'll be hoping that trend continues. West, who's done a good job in the ruck so far, beaten that time by Loud. Osman ripped down to the ground. Taylor Hunt had nowhere to go. Volleyball spike was clever by West to string it to Gleeson. Reported in the first quarter. First entry, here's a hold. Shane Kirsten's going to get it.
Your arms are right, wrapping him up.
And there's the explanation from the umpire. Angus Litherland is the man who gives away the free kick.
What happens when you've got big key forwards down there and they're taking grabs and the ball's coming in quick? You just get a bit nervous. Look, there didn't look to be much in that, but
I think he got hold of his left arm though. So the umpire spotted it. Kirsten 20 out straight in front. Question of accuracy. Goal umpire doesn't have to move. And so there is a confidence boost. It's another one of the big key forwards who gets a goal for Geelong, and they get it inside the first minute of play in this second quarter.
yeah, and as the ball comes in quick, backman at times, they can get a bit nervous. Look, I didn't think there was much in that. We'll watch that again. Ball kicked in by Gleeson.
That's the end of the action. I reckon he did have his hand around his left arm.
I don't think he was going to be in the contest anyways. Didn't make much.
Did they pay any attention to that? Well, if it's a hold, it's a hold.
Yeah.
All 5 of Geelong's goals to their big forwards, Kirsten, Bathy, and also Josh Walker at the other end. Grimley has forced a change in the Geelong defensive structures. He was matched up by Sully in the first quarter, and now Mitch Brown has gone to him after Grimley had 3 shots at goal for a couple of successes. And here's Hallahan, who's been prolific. Up the wing, looking for Retzlaff. Thurlow was in great position in the Tasmanian in his first year. Knocks it over the boundary line. He was Geelong's first pick this season, or at the end of last season, pick 16. As we see their bench. And of course, this dynasty started way back in the draft of 1999 with Chapman, Enright, Ling, Joel Corey, all picked up, and many of those featuring in their 2002 premiership. And then we know what's happened since. Brave was Erdley going back, didn't really get near the contest. Anderson's tap was intelligent, but Murphy let him down by dropping it. Buse needed to be careful, and he was. Didn't give away a free kick. Smets, magnificent hand pass up to Gleeson. Met with a strong body from Wanganeen, and good contest from all players.
Darren, you were just talking about that dynasty. It struck me when we looked at the faces of the Geelong players on the interchange bench, how young they are.
Yep.
And of course, Chris Scott talked about the need to turn over players after what happened on Friday night in the preliminary final. So maybe they're building another dynasty down at Kardinia Park. Stringer tried to bust his way through, and he had the opportunity. Wanganeen was the man who laid the tackle. Savage called for the handball out wide. Simpkin was calling for it in the corridor. Both of those had opponents too close for comfort. Grimley flies, so does Mitch Brown. Osmond down at ground level. Savage went without it. Erdley just got enough of a touch on it to get it to the line.
Average age of both of these teams is under 23 today, Pete. 22.3 to the Hawks and 22.9 to Geelong.
What's new, Pussycat?
And the great thing, you know, with both teams playing on Friday night, it's allowed their full list to be available.
Well done by Langford. Just one of those little 50-50 kicks into the dangerous area, but Brown was awake to it. Takes it out to the city side of the ground. Sheeny just wanted the football. The umpire's going to belatedly pay the mark. Sends it inside. Isles from 50. Not the longest kick in the team, but that doesn't matter. Sam Isles has come up with a goal and gets the quick reply after Kirsten was able to get the first goal for Geelong inside the first minute, and Isles takes it back out to 17 points after 4 minutes.
Yeah, and you just saw the ball kicked up, and that was a terrific mark there, but this is just too easy. It's just an easy kick into just slack marking there. I think it was Gleeson on that occasion. Yep. And Isles, while he's not a thumping kick, he knew his length, and he knew he had to get inside 50 to be able to get the distance, so he played on straight away. Good thinking, Sam Isles.
Magnificent VFL player, Sam Isles. Named the Team of the Year again this year. He's played over 100 games. He came to Box Hill after he was delisted by Collingwood, went to the Gold Coast and then came back. So he loves this club, and that's what it is about. One of the reasons why he is so desperate for a premiership as part of this group is, again, the contest is strong all the way around the ground. On that occasion, it was George Burberry who's the last one up, as Michael Osborne was getting some attention on the bench, the oldest man in the Box Hill side. Stringer, his kick is dangerous for the defenders, but Kelly was up to it, and as well as Litherland, who helped him out on that occasion. Sheringham got a shocking bounce. Tobin was dispossessed though, and West was there to help the Cats. Smets, kick into space. Not really a great kick, but again, it's dangerous for the defenders. Burberry was legged.
Georgie.
And he was pushed in the back.
That's fair enough.
With a knee in the back.
Yeah, there was a knee
Against
directly
Little.
on his back against Little there. So Burberry's one of those players too. He needs to start getting some possession. He's a good player and dangerous player around forward. We just watched the knee go in the back there. Not much of that, but
he hand passes it off Burberry, and Billy Smets comes in and slams through a point. Wow, that was close.
Play the square.
34 plays 50. Box Hill still leading the Cats.
Let's check in with Phil Cleary down on the boundary line. Some early impressions in the second quarter.
Well, the two oldest midfielders for Geelong, Selwood and Dom Gleeson. Now, to me, they are probably two who have not been in the game, Peter and David, and it's a fast-tracking game, this, and Troy Selwood likes it nice and tight inside, and Dom Gleeson's a bit the same, being smart around the pack, but I reckon that's one little area that could make a difference.
Phil Cleary patrolling the boundary line for about his 75th VFL Grand Final. We couldn't play it without him. Mitch Brown takes a good mark after the kick from Mirror wasn't well directed. They've got players on inside 50. He's going to think about the short option and then go longer. Load it up. There's plenty of Box Hill Hawks down there. Spanger flies and lands awkwardly. Barham didn't come off his foot, not according to the boundary umpire and the field umpire who had that covered.
too slow there by Mitch Brown to get the ball in. Could have been out of bounds on the full.
Well, we shouldn't talk about out of bounds on the full after what happened in the last minute of the third quarter the other night. Here's Gleeson trying to bust his way through. Got the handball off in the nick of time. Barron and Osmond came together, and Osmond's hurt here. He hurt his right shoulder in that contest. We'll wait to see if Barron's all right.
And he's coming to the bench, I reckon, Pete. He's calling a man back.
Yeah, just got his shoulder into an awkward position there.
Here's Troy Selwood, who knows all about shoulders in awkward positions. Lock turning around, banging it out of the danger area. Goes over the head of Buse. Well done, Brown. Met the ball without hesitation. Barham's got time to hit a target. Instead, he just blazes away into the pocket and says, have a jump for it, boys. The ball remains in play. Spanger by hand. Dangerous handball. Hallahan will need to be good. Stands up in the tackle. Segler taken down in the tackle. Fierce stuff from the Cats. Here's Barham. Tried to find Taylor Hunt with the handball. And Savage clears the danger zone for the Hawks.
Will it be coming back? Retzlaff needs to provide a good contest because the Hawks are under siege at the moment from a Cat side that was the best side in the comp and the home and away comp. But we know that at the grand final it's a new stage, and that doesn't count for a great deal except for belief, and the Cats have plenty of that. Selwood inboard to Schroeder. He's got one-on-ones ahead of him. His target is Burberry. Well done by Cheney. Was able to leave his man and bravely come across to spoil. Schroeder followed up, shrugged one tackle, creative hand pass, exploratory stuff for Kirsten. It might come off. Walker bought himself some time and bought his team a goal. He has got three. Geelong are all over Box Hill in this second quarter. They get the margin back to 10 points.
Yeah, and I think it was Schroeder who was able to thump the ball on that occasion, and that just worked out well for him. It was Kirsten, sorry. If he'd have taken the ball, he would have been tackled and it would have been a dead situation. Just keeping the ball alive in your forward line is good work. He knew where his teammates were behind him. Terrific work and a much-needed goal to Geelong.
As we said, they've got the ability to score and score big. Their average score this year has been 127 points, the Cats, and on average the Hawks have defended to the tune of 74 points.
And they've picked it up a notch too, the Cats. They're hunting in packs at the moment, and this is what we've seen throughout the course of the year.
Umpire Brett Ritchie just waiting for the signal. Smets and Isles wait on the wing closest to the dock side of the ground. Hall and Smith and Langford on the other side. Simpkin in the guts and gets the kick away. It lacked direction. Sheringham got a shocking bounce. Hall and Smith pushing back hard. Did nicely. Kick wasn't that great though. Cheney should mark without too many difficulties against Hartman. He flares it out wide. Isles has got it, providing some run. Cuts the angle. Delivery was beautiful. It's Tobin to Simpkin. It's a touch ball. Defender comes out and meets it, Sully, and they're all standing off him. Well done by Sully. He just made the football his own then. That's a very good defensive effort. Kick wasn't quite as good. Kelly throws it on his boot, but it's going to be only as far as Corrigan, the reliable VFL listed player who's been one of the mainstays of this team.
He wants to switch, I reckon. He's looking and he's exploring the corridor and he's precise. He gets Stringer. Now Brown. Now, they need to work hard if they're to make this work. West is making a target in the middle. Thurlow chooses to go long down the line towards Hartman, who gallops away from Cheney. The bounce got him and Cheney got him. It's going to be a cat's free.
It's good work there by Hartman. He was able to turn his body into his opponent and get that high contact.
Well, Smets was on in the pocket, but he chooses again to go the corridor. Those were the coach's instructions. Stringer was able to evade the tackle or do enough with it. He got it back to Hartman, and now Smets, who's mercurial. He pulls that across to a teammate in better position. And Burberry can't capitalise. 6-5 Geelong, Box Hill 8-2. You feel like there's so much weighing on every possession, guys, don't you? And we're only 11 minutes into the second quarter.
And the momentum has certainly changed.
It's just been at a pace, at a cracking pace, right from the first bounce. And, you know, I can't continue on that way, but...
Lithuanian's kick comes to the dock side. Loudon was the flyer. And it was against Loudon. So Lockie Howe, the 23rd man. Kirsten almost. Stringer. Oh, luck was nearly a fortune. It was a miss kick because of the pressure and nearly went straight to Josh Walker. As it turns out, it was about 2 feet too tall for him. It's down the right end for the Cats, though, and it's been down that end a fair bit in this second quarter. Hope you're enjoying the VFL Grand Final of 2013. Howe won it down. Savage had it momentarily. Contested ball situation again as the players come diving in from everywhere. The umpires letting them play as they do in grand finals and finals in particular.
15 more possessions and 4 more inside 50s in this quarter Geelong's way.
It certainly feels like that, Darren. They need to get it on the scoreboard, the Cats, if they're going to capitalise on it. Cheney beaten to it. Burberry, very strong, stood up in the tackle. Looked for Corrigan. Mirror's kick was touched. Cheney makes it his own. Handball out wide. Miss Murphy. Hughes escorts it over the line.
As the fans watch on, fascinating to hear the final number. And we get it. I'm certain it's the biggest crowd we've seen here at Docklands for the grand final in the 6 years that we have been here. Probably the best draw for it as well. Gleeson charges down the kick from Locke and caused him a little bit of trouble. Great body work from Segler. He was able to muscle Hamling out of the way, but he wasn't able to match his speed on the ground. And the West Australian bombs it long. Schroeder's brave. Burberry's able to help him out. Mirror was confused. Howe was able to gallop onto the ball and drive it long. Walker did really well. Angus Litherland seems to be his opponent seems to be the target most of the times inside 50. And on that occasion, Walker couldn't grab the mark.
You can understand why, can't you, Darren? Because the difference in size there, they're really trying to work him over. Howe and Loudon, one by the latter. Schroeder had it. Bathy trying to bust his way through. Gets a handball out. Corrigan, left foot snap across the face of the goals. And Spanger makes a good contest. Walker had eyes for the football. And it was a good contest between both players whose only objective was the Sherrin.
It's been good, Spanger.
Right forward pocket. Loudon and Howe again. Loudon tries to guide the ball down. It's not out of the danger zone. Hughes attacks the footy. Did very well. Kelly also did well. He just persisted. Savage, not a great handball. That time Hartman to Corrigan into the corridor. And there's the man that Darren Boyd was talking about. Matt Spanger with the hair flowing and the air conditioning breeze, and he takes the mark.
26 years of age, Spanger, and he's brought his experience to the fore in this game. Mirror is away. The Box Hill Hawks skipper for today. He's got Tobin. If he goes one more, he's got Isles on. And it wasn't a great kick. It took forever. And Gleeson was able to come back and influence Isles.
Good work by Gleeson. He had to work back hard there. Isles was on for a long time on that occasion. Kick was poor.
Hawks by 9 points in the VFL Grand Final. Loudon took clean possession. But the Cats are waiting. They are stalking them at the moment. Walker couldn't quite turn the corner, so he decided to wait. In the end, he ended up having a shot after all, and he's kicked another goal. Josh Walker has 4 goals in the first half of the grand final. He is playing a splendid match. And it's back to a 3-point ball game. Box Hill still in front.
Yeah, and he was in two minds there. It's very rare you see a player get a goal after they get themselves in two minds. We watch here. He's looking at where the goals are. He was going to hand it off. Then he was under pressure, he had to kick it, and straight he kicked.
But not for the first time today, Peter and Reece. He's bought himself some time. He showed great poise.
And he only had that one step at the end.
He was,
otherwise, Cheney had him.
He was hot, all right, but he's able to just get that kick away. And having a great game, Josh Walker.
3 goals to 1 in the second quarter. Cats have got it back underneath the goal now after a brilliant start by the Box Hill Hawks. West and Segler locking horns in the middle. West palms it down and then does his own roving. Whether he's going to be able to get rid of it is another matter. The umpire says, well, if you're good enough to do that,
just 1 metre with the rucks,
then I'll cut you some slack.
Spanger's gone back onto Walker.
Umpire throws the ball in the air. West did okay. Selwood down on that shoulder. He's hurt it again, I think. He's very slow in getting up. Hawks are coming forward. We'll keep an eye on Troy Selwood in the middle of the ground. It was Tobin busting through. Simpkin did very well, and then he disposed of the ball incorrectly.
Selwood's okay, Pete.
Well,
let it go. Box Hill kick. Let it go.
If he is hurt, Selwood, you wouldn't know it anyway.
Here we go.
Against you. Hey.
Oh, Stringer comes in. He might have given it away at 3.
He has. He's given it away.
Shane, here. And then second action, 50 metres. Here.
Oh, no.
Wow.
I thought Stringer going in there and it reversed it, but
He's going the wrong way.
he has too.
He is.
He's going the wrong
He's
way.
completely confused.
No, it's actually Box Hill. Yeah. Sorry, that way. Sorry.
Well, Brett Ritchie's finally worked it out. What that means is it's going to be on the goal line.
Yep.
Box Hill.
So a bit of undisciplined stuff there from Geelong, and it was Jesse Stringer, the man who came in and gave away the 50 by the look of it. Fans are not happy. We'll need to have another look at the replay to see what sparked the fire, but Xavier Murphy gets a steadying goal for Box Hill, and things all of a sudden are warming up in the grand final.
Yeah, they are. And look, I'm glad the umpire got that right in the end, because I wonder if I was going the other way, but Stringer just come in at the end there, and you watch the push, Stringer will come.
No, I watched it.
It's Jed Hughes, and there's Stringer.
And that's the one, that's the 50 metres there.
The wrong way, sorry.
Yeah, and you can hear the umpire. He got his bearings mixed up. His compass was off target, or he was heading in the wrong direction.
Well, umpire Brett Ritchie will probably have a laugh about that afterwards.
That's one for the umpire's ball, the goof tape at the end of the year.
Yeah, Christmas tape.
Ross Booth will be sitting at table 1A.
Absolutely. But the Cats are going forward again. Good hands by Hutton. Smets has it. He tries to steer it in low. They haven't been as precise as we've seen them throughout the season today, Geelong. Obviously, there's more pressure in a grand final. Hughes has put his body on the line again.
Yeah.
He's hurt himself again. He's slow getting up. In fact, he still hasn't got himself up. Meanwhile, the ball's at half forward for the Hawks. And we're going to have a ball up.
This is a very hot footy right at the moment.
It certainly is, and we have seen Geelong be able to play the game on their terms, but this Box Hill Hawks team has been terrific. Good contact there.
High contact. Back live. Corrigan, one of the veterans. Collects Murphy, who's kicked a couple of goals and playing a really good hand. He gets Hallahan. Man on in the pocket was O'Brien. Good work from Brown. Came across. Osborne's tackled by Eardley. Didn't stop the hand pass. Now Hallahan can goal if he gets to that right foot. The pressure is good. Langford's little poke was okay as well. The Hawks are trying desperately to keep it in. They've struggled to do that in this second quarter. Corrigan, it's still inside 50. His clearing kick doesn't get much traction, and Locke slams through it behind. Couldn't quite get the curl on it.
Wes, this is an enormously important 10-minute period now. With the heat that's in the game, one team or the other can establish something here.
And Geelong have been doing all the attacking too.
Mitch Brown's kick. Segler fists it away from West. It heads out towards the boundary line, and Barham makes sure it goes over.
Down the full.
And it did come off a box. Well, a Geelong boot, he's saying. And Litherlander's going to be the man who finishes up with it. The umpires got it all a bit confused the other night as to whose boot it was coming off. But they were right on the spot there on the far side of the ground. So the defender, the 20-year-old Angus Litherland, pops it up in the air. Grimley trying to fly. Loudon went one-handed. Retzlaff roving. Had a fresh air shot. Osborne's got no room. And the ball, for a moment, looked as though it might have stayed in. Umpire said, I'll chuck it back into play. Leaning against the right behind post It is the Box Hill Hawks leading by 10, and we're in time on in the second quarter.
Magnificent game. I hope you're enjoying it wherever you're watching. ABC footy. Oh, Schroeder was beaten for the footy by Xavier Murphy. That was so brave by the youngster diving on top of it, but he might have a free kick awarded against him. No.
He should have been. He did dive on top of the ball, and
good umpiring, I reckon.
Yeah.
Well done by Murphy.
It's
Put
a
his
good
body on the line. Close to the boundary line. Murphy is there, scoops it back. Hallahan can't shrug a tackle. They've got a target on him. Now the Cats, they know how damaging he can be. Brown is wrapped up by Retzlaff, the former Lion. And we're going to have a ball up. 14 players in this Box Hill side have played AFL, have AFL experience, and 13 for the Cats. As Segler smothers Corrigan's attempted clearance, and this will be great for Box Hill because of their confidence. There'll be a free kick picked out. Will there? By Brett Ritchie. Doesn't.
Jed Anderson was the man who was getting a little bit hot under the collar, and he's got a few mates out there at the moment. It is a very hot contest at present. Langford's kick, not so good. Eardley able to cut it off. Left back pocket at the Lockett end of the ground, and he'll take it out to the City side of the ground. Bathy trying to fly, didn't get there in time. Nicely done by Burberry. Moves it on to Corrigan. Corrigan goes to a one-on-one. It's a wide kick though, and Cheney did very well. Kirsten's landed awkwardly here. He's slow in getting up. I reckon he might have turned his leg as he fell. Here's Wanganeen. The handball out to Exxon. He's forced out. Let's have a look for Shane Kirsten. Now he landed very awkwardly, and he was proppy when he got up.
It was just great body work by Cheney. He just had the strength to take the line of Kirsten.
He's up, Shane Kirsten, but he's very ginger.
Just good body work by Cheney. Terrific.
After the throw-in, Taylor Hunt down to Selwood. Inside the 50, there's that man Cheney again. Hartman gets to the front of the contest. Wanganeen's there as well. And Jackson Barham makes sure the ball gets over the line. So a real arm wrestle going on here for the last 5 minutes or so. After Xavier Murphy's goal at the 17-minute mark, no goals. And in this game, a 5-minute period without goals, Darren Boyd, is very unusual.
Yeah, we had 11 in the first quarter, and we've had 5 in this second. Hunt threw it out, and that should be 50. Well, he's given Trent West the benefit of the doubt. It's going to be a free kick to Anderson eventually, and the ball comes back to him. He played 6 times at AFL level. He was the AFL Rising Star nominee in round 3, Jed Anderson. He's also been very handy when he's played for the Hawks. Neat kick to Hallahan, the former boxer. He's trying to, chooses to put this one high to Loud, and he's got the height advantage over Sully. Sully did well to work his way to the front. Eardley, hard work, tough work from Cam Eardley. The don't argue was superb, and he was able to get it to his teammate Sully. Now up to Hunt, who's barreled over the line by Wanganeen, and again, he is opened up.
Yeah, no, that's hurt Hunt. That's taken the wind out of him, and this is good play by the Hawks. They're attacking the ball and attacking the body, and very hard at it.
It is a shocking feeling when you've got no air in your lungs at all, and that's exactly what Taylor Hunt's feeling at the moment. Phil, it just seems as though after the frenetic start that we had and how full on it was, that the pace has just slackened off a little bit as we head to half-time.
Well, without a doubt, Peter, I mean, we do know the players are super fit and they rotate, and you talk to me about how they feel coming off. The truth is they've got a tyre. They couldn't go at the same speed, and the other factor, there have been a lot of collisions, haven't there, in this game? And those collisions take a little bit of the wind out of your sails most definitely. She's slowed up. It's now a critical question for players' decision-making. They've got to try to get the most of any forward forays.
Well done by Liam Tobin, who comes up with the free kick. Ball bobbling inside the attacking zone. Selwood, nice releasing handball. Gleeson gets on the end of the handling handball. In fact, it was Hartman. Now Barham taking it forward through the middle. They all fall over like 9 pins. Spanger did pretty well. Kelly with a handball out wide. Good pressure on Exxon. That came from Walker. Now Locke feeds the handball inside. Good tackling pressure again by Gleeson, but they were able to get out of it. And the kick was a bad one from Mark Locke. He's kicked it out of bounds on the full. as a result of the pressure, as a result of a bit of fatigue, and Taylor Hunt still trying to get the wind back in the sails.
Yeah, he's been struggling for about the last 3 or 4 minutes since that collision that we saw. Well done by Savage. Just wanted it a little bit more than Billy Smets, who was content to wait. You can't do that in grand finals, Billy. Mitch Brown is able to spoil. Hall and Smith come through. Gave it to Buse, who's certainly taken a couple for the cause. Stringer, magnificent poise towards Smets into his path. Hunt riding shotgun. Hand pass to Sheringham. He can go all the way here, Sheringham. Wants his left foot. The target is Walker. And why not? Will it bounce through? Duray is able to recover and push it through. Good defence there from Taylor Duray.
It was good because
it was a complete mismatch.
It was a mismatch, and he did a good job to get Josh Walker out of that marking context.
Mirror just giving the indicator to slow things down a little bit. That's what Simpkin does by finding the chest of Spanger. So in this quarter, we've only had the 5 goals after 11 in the first term. First quarter went 33 minutes and 33 seconds. Big fella Howe bends down, picks up the footy. Genie making life hard for him. Kelly with a good tackle on Sully. Eardley was dispossessed. And then he goes in and lays a tackle. Genie fetches the football. Loudon fishing for it. Stringer over the top of it. Loudon did okay, then got his boot to it. Well done. That's a terrific 1%er from Luke Loudon. Might set something up here. Locks kick up towards the 50. O'Brien lays a tackle. Handball comes backwards. Mitch Brown has been solid as a rock back there. Handball not great that time. Eardley again crunched in a tackle, and it's that man Loudon again who's done things that midfielders should be doing. Howe's handball didn't find the target. O'Brien takes it over the line, but a couple of terrific efforts there from the 22-year-old Luke Loudon.
Yeah, terrific. Just a great driving tackle. That's more a rugby tackle than we see in the AFL, but that just shows the intent, and that's why the Hawks are in front.
Yeah, 5th year on the Hawthorn list, Luke Loudon. That's a lot of weights that he's lifted, and that hurts. Hall and Smith couldn't get the clearing ball away. Langford has been superb at times. He was able to split the gap, got it to Simpkin, who fumbled it. But then Osborne, AFL experience, AFL premiership winning experience, wrapped up Hughes, and he keeps fighting Michael Osborne, and I think he might win the free kick. Well, it's going to his teammate Simpkin, who was held when he didn't have the ball. Now, is he going to look for Grimley long, or perhaps Retzlaff? He's got a couple to choose from. Grimley's the main target. He couldn't quite bend his body that way, but here's Loudon. Couldn't get the hand pass and continue his superb couple of minutes. Hamling is able to clear, or at least with the help of Barham they can.
He gets it to Gleeson. To Barham. Up the line he goes. Gee, there's some tired players out there after the intensity of the first half. Kirsten put himself into the air with a spoil. Genie back to Duray. It's coming back though.
They're going to hold the ball in.
Corrigan looking inside the corridor to Hall and Smith. He can use the run of Gleeson. Now Kirsten. He thumps a long ball to a one-on-one inside the 50. Who's going to win this contest? An important ball. Burberry was outpointed by Mirror. Bathy's done a good job. Has kept the ball in, but yet again, Mirror stuck at the task. That was 2 really good efforts from David Mirror, who's been amongst their best players this year, 8 times in their best, and 2 important efforts there.
And he's captain today, of course, captain the Hawks in the absence of Daniel Pratt, so he is leading from the front. David Mirror, fantastic VFL player. Hartman, claimed by Segler, who then goes and claims the footy. Spills clear from him. Langford's been in everything. He's shoved over the line by Hartman. Better known as a goalsmith, Hartman, and doing the good defensive work then.
Darren, we can't take too much out of the second half records because they're nearly identical. In fact, the Box Hill Hawks have won more second halves, 16-15.
Why does that not surprise me? They'd be nearly identical. They've been clearly the 2 best teams of the year. Langford clears from the congestion. It's up to half forward. Buse is playing well. He's dispossessed by O'Brien, the kid from South Australia, in his first year at the level. And he had a good effort there after a couple of really important goals last week, Tim O'Brien.
Have to think the siren is imminent here as we tick up towards 30 minutes. So it favours Box Hill down at their end of the ground, but I've seen Geelong's ability to fast break here. Ball once again in dispute, and the players just happy to have a rest. They are spent. Langford down the bottom of the pack. Schroeder over the top of him. Damien Carroll plots the strategy that he's going to impart to his players at half-time. Now a clearance. Schroeder to Taylor Hunt. Inside 50. Well done, Spanger. Got to the front spot. Smetz's handball intercepted by Cheney. Had it for a while. Umpire gave him some latitude. It was Mirror who tumbled the ball forward. O'Brien's on the deck, so is Langford. Constructive handball comes out wide. Osborne did well. Now an opportunity for Murphy on the left foot. He's kicked well. He just blazed away. Oh, Eardley has done a couple of things today where he looks as though he's been caught by the pressure. And luckily for him, Thurlow was there. He takes it out to the City side of the ground. One-on-one. Two very good players here. Isles beats Hall and Smith. Gives it across to Wanganeen. Another terrific effort. The grand final's going up a notch here. It's Barham. They've given everything in the first half. Now Sheringham pops it over the top and Hall and Smith takes the mark. What a game this is.
Well called, Pete. We've said it already, but you cannot believe it's not even half time. The intensity here is extraordinary. Hartman beaten by Tobin, or Exxon rather, on that occasion. Close to the line. Umpire wants to call something. He's going to whistle it across. Fans wanted a free kick. Matty Knights watches on, getting ready, I'm sure, considering what he's going to tell his players at half-time. As they recover, Taylor Hunt could not move after that footy. He is really sore at the moment. Litherland bombs it towards centre-half forward. Retzlaff grabs it. He's in range here, Bryce Retzlaff. He goes back. This will be team-lifting stuff, but he can't quite get it through the big sticks.
He saw the goal square open. He really should have steadied, though. He's a thumping kick. He didn't need to rush his kick on that occasion.
I've got a man out in the pocket here for the short kick, Sully. Brown might decide just to go up the middle and get it as far away as possible. On the lead is West. And the siren brings to an end what has been a really entertaining first half in the grand final. The margin is 10 points in favour of the Box Hill Hawks, who at one stage led by 19 in that first term, and then they led by 24 late in the first term. And it was Geelong who was able to kick 3 goals to 2 in that term. And it's Box Hill 9-4-58, Geelong 7-6-48. David Rees-Jones, it's been a very enjoyable grand final for us so far.
Oh, look, this has just been a great grand final, and both teams have just really applied themselves. Box Hill Hawks, I take your hat off to them. They've been hard and tough at the ball and at the man.
And one of the men who fits that category is Matt Spanger, who's having a chat to Phil Cleary at half-time.
Matt, it's damn hot in the back section where you are. They've got some big marking players. How are you finding it?
Yeah, they're good, and they move around a bit, so we have to make sure we're good with handing over and stuff like that. They're a quality team, obviously, with listed players who can take big marks and kick goals.
Indeed. We're commenting on the fact the game went into a bit of trench warfare there, and it had been so open and attacking, adrenaline rushed. Now what is it? What is the game now?
Doesn't change, but I think grand final, contested footy, it's always going to be the big winner, I reckon.
And the second half, just the same? Will it open up at all?
Oh, no, I wouldn't have thought so. It's a pretty close game. I reckon it's going to be pretty tight.
Good man.
There are several players out there at the moment with a shirt full of sore ribs. It went up a notch in the last 15 minutes or so. It's been a terrific grand final so far, and the Box Hill Hawks have it by 10 points at the main break. 9-4-58 to Geelong, 7-6-48 in that quarter. It was 2 goals 2 to the Box Hill Hawks, 3 goals 3 to Geelong. Major goal kickers Walker, a real handful up forward for Geelong. Bathy's also got a couple, and the contributors for Box Hill have been headed by Xavier Murphy and Sam Grimley. Really enjoyable game so far, and as we look at the individual numbers, you could just feel it. Even though the players were getting exhausted towards the end of that second quarter, it lifted in intensity a little bit.
Well, you've got to get tired. You just can't keep going at that frenetic pace. And Corrigan, look, he's been good. Brown he's had a terrific year, Mitch Brown, across half-back, and played most of his early career as a forward, been shifted down the back half this year and been terrific. Stringer getting a bit of it. Walker, as mentioned, with 4 goals. Selwood probably down a little bit on his possessions. 10 handballs there is pretty good, but he's always getting those hard ball gets, and he's a good player.
Gee, there are a few sore boys out there. Selwood looked as though he might have hurt his shoulder at one stage. Taylor Hunt went down. Abuse has been down a couple of times. So it is a very physical game, and that suits the likes of Mitch Hallahan, a good in and under player.
Oh yeah, and it really does suit the Hawks. This is the way they've come to play. They've come to really apply a fierce pressure to. Just watch Trini. He's one of those players too. He just goes hard at it. He doesn't know any other way. Smart thinking here by Sam Isles. He knew he was just on his kicking distance, had to play on straight away, and he's got good skills.
It was probably about the only moment really of the first 15 minutes or so where Hawthorn looked as though they could consider themselves on top, because most of the time it's spent inside the 50 for Geelong. Schroeder doing some good work there. Clever knock on by Kirsten. At the time it probably looked as though he might have gone a bit harder for the footy, but it worked out well.
Yeah, just to keep the ball alive. If he had grabbed the ball, he would have been tackled straight away, and the situation would have been nullified. We see Josh Walker here. He summed up the situation. He didn't really know what he was going to do, but in the end he got his goal, and that's all that counts.
And at that stage they had cut the margin back to 3 points. Xavier Murphy's goal after the scuffle at the 17-minute mark was actually the last goal of the quarter. So it was a 15-minute period towards the end of the game where things were just bouncing between the arcs.
Yeah, and you could look, I mean, that undisciplined act there by Stringer who give the 50-metre penalty away. I mean, at the end of the day, it's those little things that could be the difference between winning and losing.
Reece, we talked about the fact that Shane Savage is certainly in the frame for selection for Hawthorn with the unfortunate injury to Brendan Whitecross on Friday night. What have you made of his first half so far?
Yeah, okay. He hasn't had a huge impact. He sort of gets in and out of the play a bit. He's got to get a little bit more consistent for my liking, and there's a few others putting their hand up. I mean, Phil interviewed Matt Spanger. He's really putting his hand up to get back into that team, and if you're going on form, he might be the choice.
And I guess with Savage, the one thing that you might get from him is that he gives you options a little bit, because he kicked 5 goals last week when he went forward in the VFL. So if you put him on the bench as the substitute, he does give you a couple of options.
Yeah, well, Spanger's a bit the same. The modern footballer these days, they can play back forward. That's just the way the game's played these days, so they need to be able to motor at both ends.
Speaking of modern footballers, Josh Walker comes from some good bloodlines of a latter-day footballer in Peter Walker all those years ago, and he's had a very good first half. His imposing presence, and the fact that he's not only a one-trick pony, it's not only taking marks, he showed there that he can almost impersonate a rover.
Yeah, look, we saw him play some very good football last year, and the one thing that just you sort of wonder about is when he has had his opportunities at AFL level, he hasn't, whether it's a confidence thing, you just don't know. But look, he's going to be a terrific footballer, and Geelong's got a pretty good future with a lot of these good young kids, as has Hawthorn. I mean, the skills and the talent on both of these teams really do show why there's a lot of pressure on at that AFL level, and you're not playing well. There's some good kids underneath you who are good footballers.
It's half-time in the VFL Grand Final of 2013, and the Box Hill Hawks lead Geelong by 10 points. Right throughout the year, we've been showing you what's been happening in the other leagues, the SANFL and the Waffle, as they head towards their conclusions. Darren Boyd has a wrap of last week's action.
After losing its first 4 games of the season, Central District had recovered to finish the year in 4th position, earning a home final against North Adelaide, who came into the finals on the back of 5 straight losses. With the wind blowing strongly in the Bulldogs' favour in the opening term, James Boyd capitalised early on a Roosters turnover, but North Adelaide was doing its best to stay in touch.
Knocks it to advantage. Shannon coming now. 50 out, player on over the top is Stewart again. And he handballs off, and the Roosters get some reward.
The quarter culminated in a terrific goal from outside 50 to Josh Waldhutter that gave the Dogs a 17-point lead at the first change. The Roosters turned it on in the second term, adding 4 goals, 6 to their tally, while restricting Central District's just 3 behinds. After trailing by 10 points at the main break, the Dogs needed to use the wind as best they could in the third term, but North Adelaide had found its mojo.
Ryswick at his feet, snaps away and kicks a goal.
The first goal of the last quarter gave the Bulldogs a glimmer of hope, but it wasn't to be as the Roosters powered home to win by 10 goals. A fantastic performance from North Adelaide, bouncing back after 5 straight losses to win its first final by 62 points. Cohen Teely and Nathan Gordon were among the best for the Roosters. Woodville West Torrens would have been full of confidence after comfortably defeating West Adelaide a week earlier, but the Bloods were fielding a much stronger side this time around. An even opening quarter culminated in a skillful team goal to the Eagles, which gave them a small lead at the first change. The second term began in the same fashion as the first ended.
Quick hand pass off the Hall. He thumps it long and he hits it strong.
When Chris Hall kicked his third midway through the quarter, the margin was at 22 points and the Eagles looked ominous. West Adelaide must have copped a bit of a spray at the main break because they came out inspired after half-time, and the luck seemed to be in the Bloods' favour.
Ferguson bounces towards goal and he looks for somebody in the middle, and that was a wobbly old kick, but Westies are very much back in it.
The Eagles were able to regain a 10-point lead early in the final turn through some class roving from Matt Goldsworthy.
And then he goes deep for Parry. 1 grab, 2 grab, no. Goldsworthy! What a goal!
The Bloods were putting their bodies on the line, and Captain Ryan Ferguson was leading from the front before an inspired Travis Tuck found the goals to seal the win. A hard-fought 7-point win sees West Adelaide advance to the semi-final against the reigning premiers Norwood. Travis Tuck was best on ground with 3 goals for the Bloods. The reigning premiers in Claremont were desperate to bounce back after an upset loss to West Perth a week earlier, while East Perth was eyeing off its first grand final appearance since its 2002 premiership. Claremont opened the scoring through a quick snap-at goal from Luke Blackwell, but it was East Perth who made the most of the quarter, finishing with 6 majors to take a small lead into quarter time. A perfect example of superior ruckwork saw Paul Johnson gift Michael Swan his first goal of the afternoon before Jacob Derricks gave the Royals some breathing space at half-time.
Opportunity for Wolf on in turn of Derricks. He kicks the goal.
Claremont was in dire need of a goal in the third quarter, and Ian Richardson delivered.
Here's Medhurst, strong below the hips. Got a hand pass out to Richardson who needs to goal and does. Oh, Ian Richardson doesn't he stand up?
The Tigers were mounting a challenge with all the play midway through the term, and it bridged the margin back to 6 points. But 5 straight goals to finish the term had the Royals in the box seat at the final change. A glimmer of hope remained for Claremont when Jake Murphy kicked his first major for the afternoon, but the Tigers season would end in heartbreak as the Royals charged into the grand final with a massive 63-point win. It was no surprise to see Sandover medal runner-up Paul Johnson named best of field after a dominant performance, while Matt Seal and Josh Smith kicked 4 goals each.
Great time for the footy right around Australia, and if you want to catch the other state leagues as well as a replay of the VFL, set your recorders, or maybe if you're a night owl you might be able to burn the midnight oil and catch those games at those times early on Wednesday, Thursday and Friday morning. 10 points the margin here at half-time in the grand final in favour of the Box Hill Hawks. Let's get down to the boundary line. Darren Boyd has joined Phil Cleary down there. Boys, I think we have to be happy with what we've seen so far. Plenty of goals, lots of skill, bit of physicality. It's been a very good grand final.
Phil, it's been hard to calm you down. Pete's absolutely right. You are so involved in this game. You're absolutely. This is why you come to the footy, isn't it? It's magnificent.
Well, you know what I love about the way the game changed is that last part of the second quarter where the game slowed and the physical contest increased because blokes weren't able to get. So it was, wasn't it? Yeah. And this is what we see in the modern game more because they do tire, and with the rotations don't cover it enough. And I love to see that happening in a game because then the really good have got to stand up, don't they?
Absolutely, but let's just step back a little bit. You talk about the really good standing up. Let's go back to Box Hill's one and only premiership in the VFA/VFL competition. It was back in 2001, and you want to talk about the really good standing up. We're going to have a look at the team for that 2001 side. It contained 5 players that went on to play in premierships with the Hawthorn Footy Club. Michael Osborne, who's out here today, Robert Campbell, also Sam Mitchell was involved, and the best on ground was a bloke named John Baird. who went on, of course, to captain Port Melbourne in a premiership later on. They defeated Werribee on that day pretty comfortably in the end, upsetting the red-hot favourites.
Well, look, I was just seeing more and more that there were players who I thought were clearly capable of playing AFL. And this was sort of before we got to the mature players, Darren. So we got a Mitchell, Sam Mitchell, who had been dropped off a list. He hadn't made the draft.
He hadn't made the draft
dropped off. He'd been an under-18 player and not gotten drafted. I think that was the case, wasn't it? And anyway, I watched him in that game thinking, now this kid can surely play. He's surely good enough. Everything about him was good. And sure enough, he has made it. And since that time, gradually, people have started to realise that players are capable based on the quality of the competition.
Here he is, right here, Sam Mitchell driving it forward.
Isn't that the same stance?
Absolutely.
Just a beautiful position play of him through the corridor.
Well, yeah, it's Anthony Rock there in the twilight of his career, and it shows this competition, doesn't it? It's the balance of the old and the new. You've got a player like Anthony Rock, was so good for so long at North Melbourne, premiership player there, and then he's able to give a little bit back and try and help and develop the younger players. And these are the final moments of that game. The other two premiership players I overlooked for the Hawks were Robert Campbell and also Chance Bateman. But you talk about Sam Mitchell, Phil. He'll receive his premiership medallion in a moment. The year after, as a 19-year-old, he won the Liston medal with 32 votes. It was an extraordinary effort.
Well, you know, I think it was almost a seminal moment with Sam Mitchell. I think it was a kind of starting point of this realisation that you could take players from the VFL. Sure, it was gradual, but then it moved right onto the Podsy Adleys of the world. You know, so you've seen a continuum over the 10 years. But what's crucial to that too is that you've got to have high-quality football. And what we've produced in the VFL over this period is high-quality finals. So when you see a grand final and a bloke dominates, now you know that he can play AFL. He plays well out here. Bloke playing well out here, he can play AFL.
Absolutely, and you're right. And as we said, he won the Liston medal, best and fairest of the VFL competition the year after. Extraordinary year. After that, he gets drafted by Hawthorn. He plays for Hawthorn that year, and as well as that, he goes up and eventually is a premiership captain. These are the closing stages of the Liston in 2002, which he collected. And we know since then we've had all sorts of players who have won this medal and have gone on to play well at AFL level. And perhaps this year we might have a couple more with Jordan Schroeder and Mitch Hallahan, who are on show today.
Yeah, and you can go way back to some of the great players. You know, Ray Shaw was
Barry Round.
And there's blokes who. But Ray played and then went on to have a great AFL career.
Well, that same year as Mitchell won that Liston trophy was the year of the Geelong dynasty, the year we first saw what we might see in the future with this Geelong dynasty. They won the VFL Premiership in 2002. Here's the lineup up on our screen. They had 6 players from that lineup that went on to play in a senior AFL Premiership. Josh Hunt is the unlucky man to miss out on what we're terming the Fab Five. Jay Bartell, Jay Kelly, Stevie J,
just a player.
Gary Ablett Jr.
Just a player.
And a bloke named Chappie.
Oh, just a player. And it was funny because I was giving Chappie a little bit of a touch-up in a game at Port Melbourne for playing up, and he went on to do the right thing. It was funny when we were calling this game, Darren, way back. Where was Ablett? Well, you can't ignore him. Look at him there, and we're saying, can the boy play? Because you don't want to burden him with the father's mantle. And there's Bartell. And again, quality players and playing well in big games. And this was I remember this well as a high-class game of football, and Ablett was good. He was good. He'll do something, won't he? And I'll bet I get excited about that. Do I get excited about that?
You always get excited, Phil. And you're right about this. And this, I reckon, this teaches you so much. There were 14,000 people there at Princess Park that day, and they had to come from behind. They were 14 points down to Port Melbourne at three-quarter time, an experienced Port Melbourne side who were aligned with the Sydney Swans at the time. So they had some really good level AFL players as Ablett goes forward again and is creative. What more would you expect?
I remember that piece of play.
And they overran them. They ended up winning by 22 points. And obviously the final siren shows the jubilation. We talk about the Fab 5. As we have a listen to them getting some of their premiership medallions, they've just gone on to such magnificent things, and they did it again in 2007, and then again, of course, last year.
And how interesting that Geelong have really worked on this model, and Geelong have been a standout 3 premierships at AFL, because you do want the model right. You want to be playing to win, and they've played to win, and in that context, they did develop players.
Thinking about the 2007 grand final as well, whilst we watch Gary Ablett get his medal from 2002, that 2007 side that annihilated your Coburg in the grand final, that had Tom Lonigan, who went on to play in AFL grand final. He, of course, was a key forward that day, has gone down to defence. Tom Hawkins played in that game. Travis Varco also played in that game. Trent West, who is out here today again, he played in that game. It just goes to prove again your point about how wonderful this is as a developing ground.
Well, and so when you look in today, which is where we're going, you know, we look at the Geelong lineup today and you say, who in that side do you think can play? Well, it's hard to, you know, you can stare into the crystal ball and you can get them wrong, but there's a cluster of them, like Hall Smith, for example. I like the way he goes about it.
Well, are you going to nominate your Big Five? We've nominated the Big Five from 2002. Are you going to be brave enough now?
Yeah, I'll go Burberry, Thurlow, Kirsten, Hall and Smith. There's 4, and maybe Smets.
Yeah, Billy Smets, I think, is perhaps the one you need to include. I know that his coach Chris Scott loves him. He's a boy from down Geelong ways, from Warrnambool. It's a bit further than Geelong, but he's in your 5.
I'll put him in last.
You snuck him in there, Phil. You've got Shane Kirsten in there. He has yet to make an AFL debut, but he certainly shows a lot at this level, doesn't he?
I could go for Walker or him, but, you know, the problem, Potsy Adley is at the end. I mean, he's 32 years of age. Love you, James, you know, but he's got to finish soon. So there's going to be a spot up forward for one of those players, so they've got to be in the hunt.
It's just so wonderful, isn't it? You come to the footy every week, and the competition's going to go through another natural evolution next year with Williamstown standing alone and the Western Bulldogs as well. We're not quite sure what the future's going to be for a couple of other alignments. Richmond and Coburg separating as well.
Look, I reckon the competition's in a great place. The challenge for the standalone clubs is great. You want to compete against these sides, so push on, boys. Get the rivalry going like we've got today. That's what we love in football.
Well, who is going to push on and win this grand final, Phil? Because all of these projections we can cast to one side. We're not sure what's going to happen in the future years. We're worried about this next hour of football.
I would say that the evidence suggests that as the game slows, Geelong might be the one with more speed, and they'll get outside and they'll be damaging forward. I think as it has slowed a bit, I think that favours Geelong. I don't know if Boxall can be frenetic enough in the second half, but who knows?
Frenetic enough for long enough? That is one of the tests, isn't it? I mean,
it is. You can be frenetic in that first bit when there's a burst of adrenaline, then there's been a lot of heavy collisions. Blokes are tiring. Now, will Selwood be able to go the journey in the second half? And what about Gleeson? So there's a few questions to be answered. And you know what, Darren? They're the questions great players have to answer.
It is. What about, just quickly as we finish up, before we go back upstairs, what about the experience of last year? They got 14 Geelong who played in the flag last year, plus Trent West. Will that help them?
Look, it does help. I had Coburg back-to-back 88, 89, and when we were going for it in 81, we knew we were going to win it. We knew what had to be done. So it does help. It does help. The other mob will be keen. They'll be desperate, but that other side's got a bit of experience going for them.
Can't wait. Peter and Reece, let's get this thing started.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, boys. And talking about fatigue in the second half, one of the oldest sayings in football, Reece, is the players do get tired as the game goes on, but they don't get any shorter. The tall players remain tall. And when you've got Walker and Kirsten up forward and Matthew, that could be a factor.
Yeah, it's a pretty potent forward line down there. And I just caught the end of what they're talking about VFL players making the grey ball. I don't know if they missed one in Michael Barlow, who'll be turning out for Fremantle this week, and a very, very good footballer.
Winner of the Fothergill Round medal a few years ago. Interesting to see Shane Savage starting on the bench for the Box Hill Hawks and Troy Selwood on the bench for the Cats. Second half of the grand final of 2013. And it was a decisive win in the ruck contest by West, but Anderson was awake to it and was able to throw the ball on his foot quickly. Takes it out to Locke. Locke goes to Duray, who kicks with his non-preferred right foot. That's a very good defensive mark by Sheringham. Falling back. He's got Corrigan up the line if he wanted him. He's going to elect to go a little bit longer than that. Who will get there? West did well. Then the handball was a bit hot for Barham. So a turnover and the opportunity on the counter-attack. Tobin had Hallahan over the top, elected not to use him, and probably should have used him because he blazed away. And instead, it was a member of the VFL Team of the Year in Matt Sully who gave it to Brown, who's been important down the back today. Eardley and Brown collaborating down the back. And Geelong just looking to build it up slowly on the City side of the ground.
It's a bit better. They're showing a lot more patience than what they were, especially in that second quarter. I thought they were just too keen to play on at all costs, but just got to be smart about the way you bring the ball forward.
Schroeder got it from Thurlow. Contest here. Hawks with the numbers. Litherland sweeps it out wide. Langford, Giray, and now Grimley. Right on the wing on the City side of the ground. First goal important here for a bit of momentum, and it would certainly put scoreboard pressure on for the Hawks if they're able to do it. Good kick from Grimley. Tobin somehow got away from his marker. It's an awkward, wobbly kick. It just lacked a bit of purpose, and Buse is going to be able to bring it out of defence for Geelong. Sully was the man who got it to him originally. Taylor Hunt's trying to draw someone. Goes with a little alley-oop over the top. Well done by Smets.
Good play.
He dances around, did very nicely. And now Smets has got a man on in the pocket. That man is Walker. Man on the mark stands at 49. He's got in the corridor, calling for it Schroeder. He's elected to go back and take the responsibility, and in the bid for distance, that's what normally happens. He's hooked it, and hooked it badly.
A lot more measured way they brought the ball forward, though, Geelong. They're looking a lot more patient than what they were in that second quarter.
Giray to Simpkin to Wanganeen. Corrigan falls over. Here's Spanger, the man that Phil Cleary spoke to at half-time, talking about what a tough contest it's been. In the corridor he comes to Mark Locke. By hand to Simpkin against his old team. Well done by Burberry. That was good pressure on the kick, and now he goes in for a second helping. Barham's got the football, falls to the ground. They fall on top of him. Umpire Brett Ritchie says nothing doing. Stalemate, I'll throw it in the air.
Yeah, good work there by Burberry.
And we know Phil's love with the coaches, Pete. I reckon he might have found a new love in Matt Spanger after he had a chat to him at half-time. As Hawlett Smith drives it long, looking for Baffy. Stumped away from him by Cheney. It's over the line, yes. He was very happy, Phil, weren't you, that Matt Spanger was up for a chat?
I thought it was a sort of five-side yarn, wasn't it? At half-time in a big grand final. Look, we're going to stop and sit down and have a bit of a chat, pull out the pipe.
West trying to be creative with the tap. Instead, he only found an opponent in Simpkin who's coughed it up. The pressure is there from the Cats. Hartman, his kick forward is out of bounds on the full. And another free kick. But again, much like the second term, Pete, Geelong doing all the attacking early.
And it's a bit like the end to the second quarter. It's only 4 minutes, Darren, but it's a real arm wrestle. That is a mongrel floater from Angus Litherland.
And Reece with the laugh of a man that knows what that's like.
They're not good on the fingers, those kicks, but...
well, there was no one near it to try and mark it, so fortunately for him, he got the best possible result, and that was that the ball bounced out of bounds. Loudon with the left hand down to Isles. Kick ricochets away. Anderson throws it on his right foot. Tumbling ball up to the middle. O'Brien trying to get into it. Sheringham stands tall. Comes out the back door. Osborne uses the run of Isles. And he spreads the ball out to Segler. They're streaming inside the 50. Locke is streaming towards goal. He's going to go into the pocket and look for Grimley. He nearly got it at the second and third attempt. Then ducked underneath the Brown tackle. Brown got hold of him. Tobin brushes the tackle. It's a touch ball. Hallahan across to Anderson. He tries to bat it down into the path of Langford. He stands up in the tackle again. Desperation from Geelong. And the advantage is going to be paid.
And it's gone very well. Look at Cheney trying to chase Bathy. We just wanted that a little bit more, did Kyle Cheney. Bathy gets dropped off in the tackle. Powerful play from the former Melbourne listed player. He finds O'Brien. Drives it long. Grimley in great position. He got a good block from his teammate. Experience from Osborne, who's first to react, and he snaps a goal!
That's a big one.
For the momentum of this game, that is huge. And you feel like as well, for the confidence of his teammates as well, Reece, because Michael Osborne has been quiet. He was so good, gave them leadership and direction last week, and now he's really involved.
But as you called, just great work by Kyle Cheney, just to really put in the big ones and put some pressure on Bathy and be able to get the ball forward. And that's what enabled Osborne to get on the end of it.
And it was a bit of a worry, the lack of pressure on Osborne. Look, he had time to have a look. Could have run around to his right, elected to run around to the left, and he has given a nice little buffer to the Box Hill Hawks. Let's get down to Phil Cleary, his observations on the man who's just kicked the goal in Michael Osborne.
He's under a bit of stress too there, or suffering a bit of stress in his shoulder. He is a little bit of pain. What a great example for any player to fight through that and to kick a critical goal like that. Terrific work by him.
It was just a little swipe at the ball by Loud. Might have connected with something else. Is it 2 in a minute? Hallahan, the Liston Trophy winner, has really cemented Box Hill's momentum here. Well, that is a real body blow. To get 2 goals in a minute after it was a real arm wrestle for the first 5 minutes. 22 points is the margin again. That's a nice little buffer.
Yeah, and after Geelong did a lot of the attacking and only managed to get the ball out of bounds on the full on 2 occasions, and the Hawks take it forward. 2 goals. That really does cut in.
The other thing to note is it's 9 goal kickers to 3. All year, Box Hill have shared their goal kickers around, but so too have Geelong. Today, the Hawks midfield obviously working so hard that they are restricting the Geelong mids from kicking those goals that they've done all year, and they go forward again through Savage, but it's coming straight back. Lucky kick off the ground. Ends up with Corrigan, who just bit a little bit too much off. And Kelly was able to swallow the defensive mark. He spreads it very wide to Mirror. He's got a man on his own at centre half back. He could go the switch as well. Chooses to go to Murphy, but he took way too long. And now it's really dangerous because it's been driven back in by Jet Buse. Tough one for Howe. Mirror brave, leading from the front again. Got back and spoiled and is able to use Litherland on the way out. His kick is superb.
Yeah, they've come out the side where they probably should have come out in the first place.
Yeah, great work again, great body work again by Kyle Cheney.
Hallahan to Savage. They're starting to get into space now. There's another example of it. O'Brien slipped his man. They got 2 inside the 50. In fact, he had about 3 to choose from, as it turns out. Tobin was lurking. Segler comes out and takes the mark, and the warning bells are starting to ring quite loudly for Geelong.
They certainly are, and Geelong's just all out attack at the moment. They've got to defend as well. They can't allow the Hawks to get too far in front.
Jonathan Segler, as Darren said, has played a fair bit of VFL football, some of it in the black and white stripes, and here he is in the brown and gold. This for 3 goals in as many minutes. Ooh, and it's just drifted from about 45 metres out. It was trying to get the trip, and it only just got there, but to the left-hand side of the goalpost, and so the margin is 23.
The Cats drive it long. Flying high was Loud, and hot hand pass for Smets, who's dispossessed. Hallahan, little chip kick looking for O'Brien, who was held. Umpire said play on. Really good play in the end by Hamling. Rich Brown's had a cool head most of the day, but he's turned this one over. Osborne, it's coming straight back in. The pressure is insurmountable, you feel, at the moment. The way that Box Hill are playing, and Osborne's kick is superb. Retzlaff grabs it.
Yeah, just summed it up well in Osborne. Good experience, didn't rush the kick. Waited till Retzlaff was on the lead, and his disposal is superb, Osborne.
Still feel like Michael Osborne has quite a lot to offer. He's played 168 AFL games.
You just wonder at his age whether there is much left.
Retzlaff kicks it across the face. Is it out on the full? No, it's spoilt across the line. It'll be thrown in as the fans watch on, and the Cats bench do as well. They trail by 23.
They need a goal to stem the flow. West in the front spot. It's down the wrong end for the Cats at the moment. Segler trying to bust his way through. Looks for Hallahan. Savage gets in there and has an impact. Schroeder is there as well. Well done by Stringer. He runs into a brick wall in the shape of Wanganeen, who did very well. Went back in and fetched it, and then came up with a little chip pass to Murphy. What outstanding stuff that was by Derek Wanganeen.
Terrific work.
He's played on. And, well, you would have thought 35 metres out from goal he would have been happy enough, but as it turns out, he's going to be okay because it's going to be Luke Loudon who is going to have the shot for goal.
It was just great work. I mean, the Wanganeen just had to keep his body in line with the player, and at times in footy matches, you've got to put your body on the line for your team. That's what Wanganeen did on that occasion. Terrific.
Loudon kicked the second goal of the match. And he poked at it. Absolutely poked at it. Didn't kick through the football. I wonder if we're going to talk about those opportunities, first from Retzlaff and then from Loudon, to really make the task so much more difficult for Geelong early in this third quarter.
4-goal lead to Box Hill. Chasing their first premiership since 2001 and just their second ever in this competition. Magnificent grab by Walker, who's got 4 goals. He's clutched this one at halfback. He looks inboard. Thurlow was running for him. It's a dicey little kick. Wanganeen's been really good in the passages of play that he's been involved with, and that one was no exception. Half volley was made excellent by Retzlaff. Murphy's got a couple of goals. He might set this one up for Savage. Savage tries to pivot. He gives it to Retzlaff. Don't like him on the angle. He's dispossessed by Thurlow. Really well done by the Geelong defence, but they're under siege. Hall and Smith's kick. Kirsten has 3 to beat. Make that 4 as another one arrives. Ducking and weaving, the Hawks have all the answers at the moment. Walker drops the mark at centre half-back. Frenetic passage. You sense that if Box Hill get the next one, they'll have so much confidence. We're almost halfway through the third quarter. They're continuing to press. Ball just marches through these contests. Nobody's able to grab clean possession. And a ball up is probably the best result for everybody.
And similar to the start of the game, Box Hill Hawks are just winning a lot more contested ball, and a lot of that hard ball gets going their way.
Damien Carroll well aware of that, but they need to put it on the scoreboard. Taylor Hunt had a fresh air shot, and Sam Myers has already kicked 1 goal from 50. He's not going to add to it, so the opportunities are going begging for the Box Hill Hawks. They've had a couple. They could have easily got it out beyond 5 goals. As it turns out, it's 25 points at the moment, but they've got the hammer down.
And what does Mitch Brown do? The last couple of times he's gone straight down the middle. He goes a little bit wide. They're not being as creative as they normally are, Reece, out of their back half.
Well, they're not being allowed to run and use their skills, and they're being put under severe pressure by Box Hill, which is what you'd expect in a grand final.
2-3 to no score so far in the 13 minutes of the third quarter. That's Box Hill's way. They lead at the moment by 25 points. It was 17 at quarter time after they exploded early. 10 points at half time. And now with a long, long way to go, it's 25 points. Jed Anderson watches on. Throwing inside Box Hill's attacking zone. Segler pats it down, but Hartman is able to clear for the Cats.
And he's got a barrel going there, which has gone about 65 metres. Smets was the man in the contest with Kelly. Then he goes in and tries to lay the tackle. Duray comes back. Did nicely. Mopped it up to Litherland, to the 23rd player in Exxon, who has a little fumble, but he had Duray for support. He brushes the tackle, ran into his teammate, backed up, beep, 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 and then he kicked it out to O'Brien. And the umpire sent a chop of the arms.
Fair enough.
O'Brien takes the kick right on the wing. Can Geelong minimise the damage, or can they get some goals of their own? They're not looking likely at the moment. Loudon again. Moves onto that left foot, pops it up in the air. It's falling short, and Simpkin playing in front was a weight to that eventuality. He was 2 metres in front of Taylor Hunt, and Simpkin can take the gap out beyond 5.
Just a good kick there by Loudon to put the ball into space and forced Simpkin to lead into it. That's a good kick. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that. It looked a bit awkward, the kick, but I will give him the benefit of the doubt, Darren Boyd.
15th disposal coming up against his old team, the best and fairest winner at Geelong in the VFL for the past 2 years, and he's made them pay. And things are getting decidedly worrying for Geelong, and the Box Hill Hawks may be heading towards a premiership in what could be a very big week for the Hawthorn Football Club, and it would be a big one for Box Hill as well. A lot of football still to be played though.
Well, there is, but the way things are going, Box Hill are working very hard for each other. They're not allowing Geelong to play the game, the style they like to play, which is to get the ball and run and carry and use their exquisite skills. And they're just being put under the pump and outworked by a very good Box Hill Hawks team.
Phil, that is now 4 unanswered goals. They've kicked the last 4 goals of the game, 3-0 in this third quarter.
Well, if games are symbolised by the particular players, Isles comes off, he's spent. Osborne comes off, he's spent. They get to the bench, they're full of energy though in terms of talking to players. They're standing up. The Geelong bench, by contrast, circumspect, anxious, unsure about which way they're going. The energy is with this side, Box Hill.
It's been so long since this Geelong side has been challenged like this. They've won 13 games in a row leading into this game, and they'd won them all by, well, they'd won most of them anyway, PD, by about 10 goals. They had just annihilated teams. It's different when you're in a fight, as they are today. Taylor Hunt does really well, but Anderson is just clawing at him. And now the cavalry arrives. Look at Angus Litherland. Hasn't been his best day, but he's still giving 100%. Tobin charges through, collects one, gives it to Osborne. Now Retzlaff's kick is superb. Dangerous for Simpkin. Murphy at the back. He could get it.
Well done.
Magnificent chase by Cam Erdley. The Geelong rookie listed player chased him down and saved a certain goal.
Well, if they're to get up and win this, they will look back at that moment, because it's already beyond 5 goals, and that has got to inspire his teammates. Cam Erdley, boundary throw in, Loudon in front of Howe. Paul Smith got a high one, umpire called it on. Selwood to Smets, Corrigan, Smets runs hard and darts through the middle of the Dockland Stadium. Good pressure on the kick from Isles. It comes to the back. Hartman goes to the ground. His opponent Kelly does not, and it was 3-on-1 anyway, and the Hawks are going to be able to work it out. The Liston Trophy winner in Hallahan spotted up a target in Grimley, who rides the bumper. Sully comes towards him. End-to-end stuff. It was nearly 50. West almost ran into the protected area. High ball, Savage caught amongst a lot of cats. Here's Tobin across to Locke, 30 metres out, and he sprayed it as well. They could have almost put it away in the last 5 minutes or so. Opportunities are going begging, and just at present it's about the only thing that's keeping Geelong in the game.
Well, they should have put him away by now, but Smets going through the middle there, it just wasn't a great kick, and didn't give his teammate Hartman much opportunity, and the ball just rebounds so quick that these days you turn the ball over, it comes straight back.
16-4 inside 50s in this third quarter. Box Hill's way as West climbs high. It's 3 goals 4-0. The Cats are on the ropes at the moment. Hall Smith, best on ground this day last year, is beaten by Taylor Duray. It's all going the Hawks' way. Isles has been superb. High kick, Loudon, 3 grabs.
Too easy.
And he's already had 1 shot for goal, which was ungainly. He's had another one, which was a snap, which was superb early on.
Just watch this ball come in here, and just Geelong players standing around. You've got to make a contest. Someone has to put a body, a punch, something has to happen. You just don't let a big fella take a mark like that, uncontested.
And now the 22-year-old from the Sandy Dragons. He's been on the Hawthorn list for 5 years. He's played all but 2 games this year. And he has struck. In fact, he's played every game this year, Luke Loudon, and he's again a poor kick. 1 goal, 2 for him. 3 goals, 5 in the quarter.
Well, they're hanging on by their fingernails at present, Geelong. And the Hawks are keeping the minute with this bad kicking. Brown to Selwood, the captain needing to inspire something. Smets takes the mark in front of Duray. Wheels and deals, but he's kicked it up in the air. Corrigan caught underneath it. Spanger was decisive with his spoil. And not only did he spoil, but he spoiled towards the boundary line. And Corrigan looks up and says, well, that kick didn't do me any favours.
No, just hung in the air for way too long, and they had a chance to get away then and create something, but their disposal today's normally been under pressure, but even when they haven't been, a bit of perceived pressure out there and hasn't been good enough.
Stringer, good pace. He's got West. He took a while. He took too long. He threw it. And yet again, Wanganeen involved in a passage of play where it was a 50-50 ball, and he's the one who comes up with it.
And just uncharacteristic mistakes being made.
Almost a good mark by Barham. He got some contact from Osman in the marking contest. And the umpire, Robert O'Gorman, who's officiating today with Brett Ritchie and Sean Gleeson. Matty Knights looking concerned, as you could understand with the way this game is flowing at the moment. Savage taken down, a strong tackle by Smets. All is not lost for the Cats. When you look at their last quarter scoring, they have the best record of any team of any quarter in the competition. They've outscored their opponents by 406 points in final quarters this year, but you don't want to be leaving yourself that amount of work to do. Tobin told to go. Thumps it inside the 50. It comes to the deck. O'Brien, Isles, just didn't have time to get his foot to the ball. Well done by Hartman. Gets a clearing kick away. Might be coming back in though. It comes to the back. Corrigan and Wanganeen. Spanger laced the tackle, but it was very clever by Corrigan to Walker, looking for Hall and Smith. Duray with a really good contest though. He just forced it to the line. They're doing all the little things very well at the moment, the Box Hill Hawks.
And at the moment, Reece, Kyle Cheney is the loose man in the back half for the Box Hill Hawks. So just watch him. If Geelong ever get it over halfway, the way that he's been playing for this team this year, he'll be so creative and he knows when to go at the contest and when to run off. Barham it is who just kicks it to an opponent on that occasion. Mark Locke, who played in the VFL a few years ago for the Gold Coast Suns prior to them being admitted to the AFL. He was actually their captain. And now here is the spare man Cheney. I've just given him a rap. He's scrubbed a shocking kick, but such is the way the Box Hill are dominating this game. Litherland had an age to pick it up. Sam Isles, who of course was also at the Suns, chips it to Locke.
That was good from Litherland too, Darren. He didn't panic. Yep. Just waited for the ball, knew he had time.
Locke's kick is a long one. Almost took the mark of the year in the grand final. There would have been some symmetry with David Wojcinski doing exactly that last year, but now the Cats have got it up to the wing. Cheney comes across. Here's his influence. They've managed to get a spare man down on the ground to the Cats. Schroeder gets it to Hartman. Now back to Schroeder. There's a certain goal here if it sits for Corrigan. It doesn't sit for him though. Phil's best man Spanger was able to come across and help him out, and so does Mirror. They're away again.
He just couldn't afford to go to ground there, Mark Corrigan, because he was out of the contest then. Exxon trying to hurt them on the turnaround.
And it just showed the Hawks, Box Hill, they just don't give up. They just chased. It looked like a foregone conclusion that Corrigan was going to get an easy goal, but they just chased and worked very hard, got numbers back.
Duray to Simpkin. He's got a man at the 50, and Xavier Murphy. What a wonderful kick. He's decided to play on. Wasn't the greatest of choices. Play on. No one's heard it. And so snapping around the corner is Redslab, and everyone just stood off him. We could hear the umpire, but apparently the players couldn't. Let's get down to Phil Cleary on the boundary line. They are hanging by a thread at the moment, the Cats, Phil.
And you talk about individual players and players who can make a big difference in a grand final. Cheney been fantastic. Isles fantastic. Osborne at critical moments they've all done, and Spanger another. They've all done something really special. That defensive stuff you're talking about, David Rees-Jones, been fantastic in their back half, haven't they?
And Litherland is looking composed again. Here's Hallahan, who punches one short to his skipper. Dave Mirror goes up to Osborne again. He's still got plenty of life in those old legs yet, Reece. Don't worry about that. Walker's trying to plug some holes down at half back. He needs to get forward because, well, I'm not being critical of him, but the Cats need him up forward, Reece, because they have had just 3 goal kickers and he's got 4 of them.
Yeah, but the ball's not down there, and it's not getting down there in a hurry. And what Geelong needs is their midfield to start getting their hands on the ball, start working hard, start running the ball, start working for each other.
Burberry trying to do something of that ilk as he kicks it up in the direction of Schroeder, but there's that man Litherland again, who's been very solid in defence. Simpkins having a wonderful day against his old team. His kick wasn't great. O'Brien gathered it as though it was an easy ball to gather. Isles inside 50 to Segler. He gives it to Retzlaff, who's taken down a strong tackle. Umpire elected to call play on. He said the ball spilled free in the Trent West tackle. Here's Sheringham. Bangs it out of the danger zone. 2-on-1. Hall and Smith get some interference. Are they going to be able to finally get the ball forward? Cats fans say about time. They're scoreless. Now there's a man out the other side. The kick needed to be precise. Well done by Taylor Duray. Rebounded to Gleeson. His handball wasn't great. Oh, hard head. Dom Gleeson led with his noggin, and it worked okay. Walker over the top of the football. Good defensive effort again by Box Hill as they locked the ball up and still prevent it from going inside the 50.
Well, that's just fantastic work by Taylor Duray just to get that spoil on. We see Dom Gleeson just bulldozing his way through, but
he was
Walker was out there. Walker was out there all on his own, and it's just the desperation that makes the difference.
Chance for Smets. It's touched on the line. Exxon a kid playing just his 5th VFL game, Ryan Exon. He didn't play in the preliminary final last week, and he saved a certain goal.
Just desperation again and will to win. And these Box Hill Hawks have been magnificent.
Well, it doesn't matter whether you're the youngest player out there, Ryan Exon, or the most experienced player out there. They've all bought into this, Reece.
Well, it becomes infectious. That's what happens when players just work so hard for each other.
Oh, that's a scrubby old kick from Sam Isles. Gleeson goes to the ground, got the handball off to Corrigan just in time. Burberry had a fit of the fumbles. He had plenty of pressure around him. It shoveled out the side door to Hall-and-Smith, who tries to stand up in the tackle. Barham went without it. Murphy didn't. Hall-and-Smith gathers the football, dragged it back in. Barham over the top of it, trying to fish it out. But again, the Box Hill pressure nullifies it. And the ball up will happen 55 out from Geelong's goal. We are deep in time on in the third quarter of the grand final. The Hawks have made their move. Loudon, the man who tapped it down, in no small part effective in that. Gleeson's kick inside the 50. They simply must get a goal to buoy their confidence. Here's Schroeder from the angle, dribbling across the face of the goals. But the good thing for Geelong is, even though it missed, it's better than a behind, because it stays up there. They can set it up and hope for the best.
33-point lead to the Box Hill Hawks. We've had long quarters so far, but they've been heavier scoring than this, so you sense that three-quarter time is bearing down upon us. Cheney is bearing down upon Smets, and there is the siren. The Box Hill Hawks have made their move, Peter Donegan. They have kicked 3 goals 6. They had 9 scoring shots. They dominated possession. They dominated the inside 50s. And Geelong were restricted to just 1 behind. And the Hawks have a potentially premiership-winning 33-point advantage at the last change, Reece.
Yeah, they were terrific in that quarter and missed a lot of easy goals. They really could have put Geelong away. Geelong is still in this game. If they can produce their best football, which we know we've seen throughout the year that they can, but they need to get some players working harder. They're just not working hard enough for each other. Full credit to the Box Hill Hawks. They've been fantastic.
Hawks have won 13 of 15 when they've led at three-quarter time. The Cats have come from behind 3 times successfully in 5 matches this season. It's a big mountain to climb. The Hawks lead by 33 as we approach the last quarter of the 2013 Grand Final. First time that the Cats have been held goalless this season. They managed just 1 behind. The Box Hill Hawks 12 goals, 10-82. Geelong 7-7-49. And we talked about the defensive nature of the Box Hill Hawks. That is the 11th time they've been able to keep a team goalless. And that is part of the reason that they finished in the top 2. And David Rees-Jones, it's part of the reason that they might be headed towards the flag.
Oh, look, they've got it in the bag. They've got 30 minutes of just working hard again, looking over if you're watching on the screen, you'd think there's more. You'd ask for a head count, because that is how hard Box Hill are working. And Geelong, they've just been under pressure. They've been able to just thumping the ball out of defence. There's no real system in their play at the moment. We see the possessions. Look, a lot of those possessions, as I've been saying time and time again, have been under severe pressure, and they haven't been able to get their running game going. And Box Hill just haven't allowed it. And for Geelong to win, they just need people to start. You know, they're going to be a bit tired, but they need to pull a bit out from within, and they need to work hard. See Isles there. Isles has been fantastic. Hallahan had a very good day as well.
Well, one of the big stats in the quarter, probably the biggest stat in the quarter, Reece, as we look at the third quarter highlights, and Michael Osmond getting the goal and got things on their way at the 5-minute mark. The inside 50s in that quarter were 20-7 in favour of the Box Hill Hawks.
Oh, look, the ball was just and they really didn't make the most of their chances. Look, if Box Hill do get beaten, if John can make a comeback, which would be a miracle, that's just great play from Wanganeen. In that situation, he had to put his body on the line for his team, and he did it.
And if you look at raw disposals in that quarter, the difference was 10 in disposals in favour of Box Hill at half-time. The difference is 50, so they had it 40 more times. That is a smash it.
It really is, and the Geelong players are just getting the ball, in their back 50 and just bombing the ball out. That's the only opportunity they had. That's the only opportunity they had to score in that quarter. And I think it was Exxon who went back and just got the touch on it. And that desperation, as we were saying with that passage of play, it becomes infectious right throughout the team. Yeah. And from stats were pretty even at half time.
Well, look at the marks too. 36 to 75. It was 23 to 38 at half time. So in that quarter, the marks were 37 to 13. So it's a bit like that quarter that we saw from Fremantle last night, in a slightly different way because it's attacking football from the Hawks, which is doing it. But they have completely dominated.
Build on their defence. Yeah. It's built on their defence. Tooney, Spanger have really led the way back there, and they've been fantastic.
Damien Carroll has been a great man for this competition. Is he about to coach a premiership team? Let's head into the Box Hill Hawks huddle at three-quarter time.
We digest the instruction and we reset. All right. It was a terrific quarter, but again, guys, we know they're going to come. Right? We know they're going to come. So every contest is crucial. Some of the fight to the death stuff then was absolutely terrific, but we haven't been rewarded for that yet in this game. We'll get rewarded at the end, boys, if we continue to do that. Chase down tackles, pressure, head over the ball. All right. When you're going for those goals, kick through the footy, guys. Right? Just kick through the footy. Same routine. 10 to 40 out is what we're looking for. Right. That's the first thing. All right. Continue to surge out of those stoppages, wide on those angles rather than corridor play, so they can't rebuild through the corridor. So really good when we do that. Surge out. That's really important for us. So that's the second one. Keep our hunt and our contested pill. That's the most important thing in this game. All right, boys. All the other ingredients will come. Keep the contested hunt of the footy. All right, it's just so crucial that we maintain and win that hunt. Contested possession +8 that quarter again. All right, that's important.
Another +8.
We need it. Open side. Let's take that option open side. Let's make sure that we get that footy on that open side and we're able to run and carry from there. It also means read the cues of the game though. It doesn't have to be open side if they're under pressure and we're pushed in that position or into corridor play. But guys, I reckon we still have to kick at least 15 goals. All right? We can't just go back in here and defend. All right?
Get the first one, boys. Get the first one.
It's all in front of us now, guys. So this stuff is all away. We need a disciplined effort. All right, very proud to stand in front of you guys, but now we've got 30 minutes to go, guys. 30 minutes. 30 minutes when no one said no one gave us a chance. 30 minutes for our club. We've won one senior grand final. You guys will remember this forever.
As you'd expect, passion in the huddle from Damien Carroll. Matty Knights must be worried at three-quarter time. He's with Phil Cleary.
Man, it's all about, I hear you, taking risks. You got to just go for it, don't you?
Yeah, we played so conservative today. It's really...
So did you see?
Yeah, a little bit weird, and then we've let Box Hill. They've attacked really well and used the ball, and I thought just little things about fumbling and not taking our first opportunities and using the ball well, and it's been costly, but we're still in there.
You've talked about a couple of structural changes there, haven't you?
Yeah, we put Thurl up forward and Billy up forward, and then we put Corrigan and Hartman back just to see if they can get a bit of run, and the same with Bathy. So we've certainly changed things up to see if we can get a bit of result.
Does your heart tell you can pull it back?
Yeah, it does. This team's got a lot of character and a lot of spirit, so I'll give themselves a good shot at least getting back in the game.
Well done.
Thank you.
They have indeed thrown the magnets around because it really is a different looking structure. As Matthew Knight said, Hartman has gone back there, Bathy has gone back there, and so they're going to try and generate a bit of run out of defence and see what they can come up with up forward. It's a Herculean task.
It's not going to make much difference if you don't win the hard ball in that midfield, and that's where Box Hill have been well on top all game.
The final quarter of the final game of the VFL in 2013, and if somehow they manufacture a draw at full time, we'll play extra time. Anderson, first clearance, goes to Langford inside the 50. What a blow this would be. Grimley ducking to the back, off the ground. That takes 17 seconds. Well, it's going to be a hard task now for the Cats. That is just the start that Sam Grimley and the Hawks wanted. That is a body blow right there. Grimley has come up with a very important goal at the start of the last quarter.
Yeah, could be the clincher. That's just good play. Good ruck work by Segler then to be able to win the tap and get the ball going in his team's direction. That's where it started from, Segler in the ruck.
His third goal, and it couldn't have come at a better time, Darren Boyd, because that just reinforces all the positive messages that the coach has told them, and it throws Matthew Knight's positive messages out the window, really.
He's had a great final series as well, Pete. He's kicked 8 goals now in the finals. Sam Grimley, and they go forward once again. Hartman's ridden into the ground by Tobin. The umpire says play on. And we will have a ball up.
Once again, another clearance. And look, it's not pretty at times, but just keep motoring the ball Forward in your direction.
Hall and Smith rips it away from Simpkin, and they need to be adventurous. That's what their coach is demanding. Cheney used his body really well against the rookie in Thurlow. And Spanger comes in to lend a hand. Hasn't he been good today? The big fella arches his back, and Early was not even in that contest. Simpkin took the mark. All for a kick. Loudon has Grimley in the square, and he was nervous. He was nervous.
He was off balance. I'll give him credit once again.
Gee, I'll tell you what, Reece, you're getting very kind in your old age.
A little bit off balance he was, and if he had tried to kick that, it could have gone anywhere.
Listen, you can call him grumpy, but don't call him old.
Yeah. That will get him grumpy. So Luke Loudon, you have to feel like this will be the sealer. Their coach called on 15 goals to win it. This will be their 14th, but instead it's their 11th behind. If they do get to 15 goals, they'll get to 100 points for the 10th time this year, and they have not lost Box Hill this year when they've scored over the ton.
And the Cats have reached that mark 18 times, but they're a long way away from that. Sheringham to Corrigan, towards Barham in the middle of the ground. Hall and Smith went without it. Cheney made an impact. Spanger made an impact again. Langford stands on the spot, didn't panic, delivered well. Up to the 50, O'Brien. He's got Grimley streaming into the pocket. He's going to go longer than that. Just pokes it to the kick-off line. Osborne lurking with intent. Grimley tries to go off the ground. They're at 6s and 7s. The Geelong defence, they don't look very certain about what they're doing.
They look tired.
And they're going to lock it up down there. Umpire Brett Ritchie will come in and get it in the air. But they've been reactive today, whereas for most of the season they've been proactive. And the Hawks have done them.
Full credit to the Box Hill Hawks, though. They have been fantastic.
Savage tried to squeeze it through, and all he did was squeeze it through for a minor score. But that takes the gap out to 41 points. 41. So it's practically impossible, you would think, the way that Geelong has gone about it when they've managed 49 points to now.
Yes, but this team has showed us extraordinary attacking confidence for the last 2 years. And so if anybody can do it, it is this Geelong side. They overran Port Melbourne last year in the grand final. They kicked 4 goals 9 to 1 straight in the last quarter.
Wait. Injured player. Jess. No, wait, Bill. He's injured, mate. He's injured. Just wait.
It's Mitch Hallahan, who doesn't have a glass jaw by any stretch. The boy from Sorrento. He is as tough as they come. A former boxer. Fought 5 times in his amateur career before he was drafted by the Hawks. He does look a little bit punch drunk at the moment. He's hands on his knees while his teammates go on with their business around him. Sam Isles has been great, but that kick wasn't. Selwood, the skipper, needs to drive this forward, or else he's going to be speaking first in the post-match analysis at the presentations. Here's Hartman now. Has been really quiet today. Dom Gleeson, kick is excellent. Barham. Now, Jackson Barham isn't the bloke that you'd want the shot from 48 metres out. His kicking is shaky at best. He's looking around. He's got no movement. It's been clogged up by the Box Hill midfielders and their forwards. They've all moved back.
Well, Kirsten's the only sign of any height down there if the ball falls short as well.
20!
He might just kick it to the top of the square and perhaps hope that Kirsten can take a hanger. Instead, he goes for goal, and it's stumped into the post by Loudon. Disciplined stuff. That is, well, they double their score for the second half. They still haven't kicked a goal in this second half of footy.
What an amazing story this might turn out to be for Box Hill. The 2001 premiers, Luke Loudon, been terrific to date, the big fella. Taylor Duray trying to press his claims for a spot in the AFL team next Saturday. Kick is cut off by Sheringham, the ex-Werribee Tiger, who crossed with James Ponsiadley all those years ago. Here's Buse. They need to get it in there. Short kick. Okay, Stringer. Got some attention from Anderson. Umpire said it was instantaneous, so no 50. And he's going to need his best because, as you can hear, the umpire saying you are right on the 50. So he's going to have to kick it from about 52. Mitch Brown comes on the wraparound. He doesn't get very good purchase, but West is there, and he is going to have to kick the goal from the angle to keep the flame flickering for the Cats.
There it is with me.
Might this be the start of the resurgence? 11th disposal coming up, 3 marks. The big man goes around the corner and kicks well, so they're not done and dusted just yet. at the 6-minute mark of the final term. Trent West kicks his first of the afternoon, and the margin is back at 34.
Yeah, and he needs to win this centre bounce, Trent West. That's the most important thing now, and what should be on his mind. Mitch Brown was under a bit of pressure there, got the kick in. It was a pretty good mark there, just too big and strong. And the run around goal, they make it look easy these days, even the ruckman can do it.
Phil, they're not dead and buried yet. That goal just gives them a little glimmer of hope.
It does. Nigel Lappin called on him to get the first. He said, you will kick the first goal, you will cut the lead. But you could feel in there, in that huddle, they were worried. Well, you have to be when you're behind. And of course, it was a standard approach from Matty Knights to say, throw caution to the wind, take risks. Can they get up? Gee, it's a tough call. Box Hill have been supreme, haven't they?
They might win the clearance here. Gleeson got it from Selwood. Sheringham hunts the footy. He's pushed by Isles. He keeps hunting the footy. He gives it to Thurlow. He's precisely his kick.
Well
huge contest. Brave players everywhere. At the back, it's a Cats goal. No, it's not. It is not. That is Jed Hughes who's run into the post. And it's touched. The Box Hill Hawks was desperate again.
Yeah, and this is great desperation.
Litherland was the player who pushed him. No free kicks to the umpire. That is one of the biggest calls of the grand final.
An act of heroics from the defender there, and Jed Hughes nearly knocking the goalpost out of the ground. They're rising a little bit here, Geelong. They sense that it's not quite done and dusted yet. Important ball here on the wing. Taylor Hunt gets it from Hartman. Overdid the handball towards Hamley. Good tackle down at the base of the pack. And that nullifies the situation. And it is a tired-looking Troy Selwood who hoists himself to his feet. Segler in the ruck contest. Langford's done some really good little 1%ers today to clear congestion. Sheringham, he's got the handball onto Gleeson, elected to go himself. Inside 50 they go again. Smets comes out and crashes the pack as he did a couple of moments ago. Here's Schroeder, got it on his boot. It's a touch ball. It's over the line on the full, but it came off a fingertip, and it'll be thrown back in as Geelong throw their last punches at the Box Hill Hawks, but they are lifting.
Jackson Sheringham comes to the bench for a well-deserved rest. He's been the one. He's been perhaps the only one who's given them a midfield lift. Hall Smith has done nothing today after being best last year. Dribbles a kick. Gleeson dive forward. Hall Smith is wrapped up by a nest of Hawks, and he has nowhere to go. Umpire O'Gorman will toss it in the air at the goal square point.
Not surprisingly, Matt Spenger was one of the men tackling. What a day he's had.
Nobody can punch this through, of course, as Mitch Robinson found out against Richmond. And it's Hall Smith's kick which was smothered, and they're still fighting. 33 points is Box Hill's lead. Geelong deep in attack. Can they manufacture a goal? West taps it down to Schroeder. Gleeson. Well, this is Schroeder, in fact, around the body. It's into the post. And they play on quickly through Duray to the Hawks.
Might that be their last roll of the dice? Simpkin saying, just slow it down. Let's get the ball through a couple of sets of hands. O'Brien looks to be the first one. Bathy nudges him out of it. Then can he get the handball off? Well, it was just in the nick of time. Well done by Isles across to Murphy. Now here's Grimley trying to turn his man. Couple of Geelong players feeling the heat. They're cramping up. Murphy darts through. Good driver in heavy traffic. Gave it to Isles. Isles looked for the line. He got 40 metres. And he got the boundary line as well, and Grimley just waving his arms and saying, well, I would have liked it, but that'll do. 16 kicks, 6 handballs for Sam Isles, will be in contention for the Norm Goss medal for the best on the ground. Hawks are 20 minutes away from victory, but Geelong still having plenty to say about that. Have they got one last effort? Selwood has scored it to the boundary line by Will Langford, and the boundary umpire will reload.
32 points is the Hawks' lead. As we said right at the top of the program, these two sides, along with the standalone Frankston Dolphins, are the only sides that have undergone no change whatsoever to their alignments or to their structure since this competition was reformed in 2000. And that says something about the Cats, and it says a lot about Box Hill and the Hawks and their relationship. They've succeeded in winning one premiership, and perhaps they might double that tally this afternoon. They are right on top of this. O'Brien picks it up, gives it to Duray. He misses to the right. Had a great year, Taylor Duray. He's played 18 AFL games and he's been brilliant at VFL level. His side leads by 33.
There's still a chance that he might finish the game with finish the year with 19 AFL games as well.
Definitely, he's been good today.
One of the men in the mix. Stringer up the line to Walker, flies high, lands awkwardly. All Geelong on the deck. Howe, handball was partially interrupted. Anderson got it, kicked it up to Murphy. They're trying to take some time off the clock now. 3 or 4 seconds go off there. Murphy launches the ball inside 50. They've taken a few big marks. Here's Savage ducking out the back door. And the ball had a bit too much impetus for him to gather before it went over the line, but it'll do nicely.
I remember after the 2007 Grand Final, Brent Prismal, Pete, he was in the VFL team. He didn't think he'd done enough to make the AFL team. I wonder if any Box Hill players will feel a bit like that after this brutal encounter.
Retzlaff wrapped up. Well, of course, you never know what might happen. We know the unfortunate circumstances around Brendan Whitecross, but we don't know what's going to happen in the week leading up. Gleeson to Thurlow, up and under, nearly hit the roof. Big fist away again by Spanger as he clears the danger zone from Walker and Hallahan. And yet again the ball is thumped to the boundary, and this man is one of the hardest workers on the ground at the moment. He's getting a fair old workout, this boundary umpire.
He is, as he tosses it in once again. The ruck work is done by Loudon and Howe. Loudon from the Hawks wins it forward. Brown waits for it. And he's been one of their better players today, Mitch Brown, in a back half that's been under siege. But again, they were just a fraction conservative. Matty Knights was nonplussed at three-quarter time when he spoke to Phil and said all day, we've just been way too conservative. It's not how they've been throughout the year. And this Box Hill side has been anything but today. It's ripped out of their hands though by Gleeson. Great stuff by Tobin. He knows what it is to perform on a big stage. He's been part of 2 Development League premierships, and he might have a VFL Senior Premiership to his name before the game is over. The Hawks, though, that's being challenged still by the Cats. Hartman trying to get some run. They got a man opener. He was for a split second. Barham, but Spanger came over and forced the error.
Litherland has been rock solid in defence all year and rock solid again today. Isles has had a lot of the football. Smets wraps him up in a strong tackle, and the umpire says that the tackle was broken by the boundary line. That's a good decision looking at the replay. So with every tick of the clock, this goalless period is suiting the Box Hill Hawks. Geelong need to do something about it. Gleeson trying to impact on the contest. Barham arches the back, tries to get away. Hartman taken down to the ground. Litherland, that man again, he has been rock solid. To Locke, to Murphy, to Spanger. Speaking of rock solid, pops it up in the air, and Locke can just take it and take a breather. He's got men coming to the interchange gates. He'll use every one of the 5 or 6 seconds he's allowed. Wanganeen comes onto the ground. Locke's kick very good. Grimley ran underneath it, dropped what he should have taken, but he's got a couple of options. Hallahan goes backwards to Grimley, who's got a couple to beat, and the boundary line will do him nicely. They've burned a lot of time off the clock since the last goal, which came at the 6-minute mark from Trent West. 9 goalless minutes, and that is playing right into the hands of the Box Hill Hawks.
They can touch it, they can sense it.
Look, it's just been a great team effort, and every time it's been a Box Hill Hawks team to go, they've gone, they've just done their part for their team. They've worked really hard. Just been a great team effort.
Taylor Hunt's kick is ineffective. Wanganeen is able to evade the clutches of Kirsten, and now Kelly, who got cleaned up with a massive collision early on in the match, and was able to stand up and continue to fight his way through the game. Here's Liam Tobin. He's had a great final series and a great season. He's kicked 22 goals in 15 games, Tobin. Bombs it long. Segler wasn't even close to being there. That's a tied kick from Bathy as Burberry flies high, and it's over the line again. Matty Knights watches. I don't think there's a great deal more he can do.
No, they've just been outplayed today. They haven't had a great day themselves, Geelong, but full credit goes to Box Hill.
The look on Matty Knight's face exemplifies that. Here's Hallahan out of the pack. Launches a long kick and comes up with a minor score. It's a question, Reece, that I posed to you at the start of the coverage, and I suppose we'll never really know the definitive answer, but you just wonder what effect Friday night's result had on the respective football clubs. I know it's easy in hindsight, but we spoke about it at the start of the game.
Straight into the market.
Probably had to be a little bit deflating for the Cats.
You'd think it wouldn't, but gee, the way Box Hill are played today, it's like every one of those Hawthorn listed players wants to put their name on for old Whitecross, who's going to miss out, but they want that spot.
Look, here's one, Spanger, who's really put his hand up. He's had a great day. Seen a couple of clubs, Matt Spanger, but he's making a name for himself at Hawthorn and the Box Hill Hawks. Segler, here's Osborne. Can he put the icing on the cake? Michael Osborne, now it's party time. The veteran, at 31 years of age, they can celebrate now. It's in the book. Osborne's got 2, and the Hawks have got the flag.
Yeah, they certainly haven't. And he's been good too, Osborne. He's put his body on the line a few times, and as he's had to do, he's flown for a few marks. He could have taken the mark of the year at one stage, but didn't grab it. But he's been very valuable, and he's had a terrific career with Hawthorn.
And remarkable that he was part of the 2001 premiership as well. He's going to be, in about 12 minutes' time, the only 2-time premiership player in this club's senior history.
And Phil Cleary, that is going to fill his heart with joy and pride.
Michael Osborne been absolutely outstanding, not only on the ground, Peter and David, when he's come to the bench, he's just been fantastic. You know, grimacing with the pain of that shoulder, but going on with it. He laughed with me before and said, nothing much in it. And he is just, I reckon, if you notice when he kicked that goal, as he was about to put that ball on his boot, he just put a special effort into making sure that was it. He knew that was going to sink Geelong. What a game by him.
He has been superb, Phil, and he's such a tough player. He plays it tough around the clinches, and he gets, as Reece always says, he goes when it's his turn as well, and he bombs it long inside 50 once more. The kick to the advantage of Grimley. Gives it to O'Brien, the South Australian youngster. Misses Grimley the handball. Langford was really prominent early. Lock, high kick. Tough for the forwards. Who's going to be able to clutch it? Nobody. Murphy's been great down there. He could set up another one. He misses Retzlaff with that tight hand pass. Hamling and Schroeder, and now Stringer for the Cats, still trying to run. West finds Sheringham, who's been their best in the last quarter.
And he takes a bounce and tries to find something that's going to attract his attention, but so often they've done that today. They've kicked it to the opposition. Sheringham to Lock. And all the Box Hill defensive unit, which has served them so well and taken them to the #1 ranked defence in the competition in the home and away season, has done their job on the day when it mattered most. And here are a couple of them. Kelly and Mirror combining. Segler.
They've all done their piece. All put their hand up when they've had to.
Cheney, who for so long was the loose man in that third quarter, but he didn't see much of it because it wasn't down there.
He's been terrific every time the ball's gone near him.
Retzlaff goes sliding into it, just a bit too far out the score even for him, and especially with a tired leg, so he goes into the pocket. Out comes little Xavier Murphy, and he's saying, calm it down, boys. Calm it down. I'll go back and I'll show you the way to do it. One of the young men of the team at 21 years of age.
Where he's marked.
Probably the smallest player on the ground, and even he's put his body on on the line for his teammates time and time again.
And we talk about the Hawthorn listed players, but it's the Box Hill listed players as well who made it such a...
Sam Miles has been terrific.
An even team effort. Murphy's kick right to the line. And are they going to take it over? Well, they didn't decide to. I suppose the game's in the book, so it doesn't really matter at this stage. Out it comes to Lock. We might be able to reload again to Litherland. He pokes it inside 50. No one home. West drops what he should have taken. Osborne again, dribbling, and this time they elect to step it over through Mitch Brown.
It's a whistle. And it was just a little bit sharp, Mitch Brown, but let's just put this defensive effort from Box Hill into perspective.
Geelong, as Pete said, have scored 100 points, 18 out of 20 games this year. Their lowest score for the year was 88 points back in round 1. At the moment, they are 8-10-58 Geelong against Box Hill, the best defensive side in the league. And we mentioned it at the start of the game that the irony of this Hawks side is that if we're to compare it to the AFL, Reece, they aren't Hawthorn, they are Fremantle, the way that they play. Look at this pressure again. Litherland is
look at the numbers
around.
around. Look at the numbers getting there.
That's what we saw last night, not Friday night. That is last night.
And those numbers you were talking about, not only are they 30 points beneath their lower score, they are 70 points, or the best part of beneath their average score.
Unbelievable. There's Taylor Hunt, he's had a brutal day, Taylor Hunt. There's a free kick downfield. Josh Walker has knocked over Litherland. Taylor Hunt has just been rolling around on the ground. I'm not being critical of him. He has been whacked on several occasions. He's got some pretty legitimate shirt fronts, and he'll be very, very sore tomorrow.
Sheeny goes with a lateral kick. Duray marks it just before Jed Buse arrives. So is he going to put his hand up for selection next week? Litherland absolutely rock solid in defence. It's about the first thing he's done wrong all day. Simpkin has had a day to remember against his old team. He just went back in there and fetched it.
He just wanted it more. And that's been the story of the day.
Arch the back. Sheringham trying his heart out. Gets it to the line. As we tick 3 minutes into time on. And so Geelong are going to finish runner-up again, as they did back in 2006. They're not going to add to the flags of 02, 07 and 2012. Volleyball spike by George Hall and Smith, who 12 months ago had a day to remember. But football giveth and football taketh away. And today it giveth to the Hawks. What a big week it could be for everyone associated with the brown and gold as we head towards that one day in September at the Melbourne Cricket Ground next Saturday afternoon.
Savage up to Retzlaff. Good grab. Brown hasn't been disgraced. He was led to the ball on that occasion by the former Brisbane Lion, who, as Reece has talked about, struggled to find his place in the team, Bryce Retzlaff, after a slow start to the year with injury. But it's been an important member of this premiership side. Eardley escapes the clutches of Anderson. Here's Thurlow. They switch to Barham. There's not much run and spread now from the Cats. They know that they can't win. They trail by 41 points. It is the equal biggest lead of the game to the Hawks. You're not especially cursed as perhaps the AFL Hawks have been for some time, but this victory will be particularly sweet.
And it's their first over Geelong since 2010 in the VFL.
The Cats have been great for a number of years, as we know. Here's Barham through the middle. He runs into a wall. Mirror will be holding aloft the cup soon. Gleeson gives it to Burberry, who was one of their best last year and again has been quiet today. Hartman, great grab in front of Wanganeen and kicks the goal. He is just the fifth goal scorer for the Cats today. The big fellas, Walker kicked 4, Bathy 2, Kirsten 1, West 1, and he is the only small to medium type to get on the scoreboard.
Yeah, and that's what's really let them down today. Their midfield and the players who normally link up. Burberry, who kicked the ball in, has had a quiet day. It's just been... and you've got to give credit to the opposition because, you know, when you go through that midfield of the Box Hill Hawks, you know, Simpkin, Anderson, Langford, Hallahan, Osborne, Isles through there, Murphy. I mean, they've just been relentless right from the first bounce and really deserve it.
Disposals 292 to 355, so they have hammered them in getting the football and they've hammered them in taking it inside 50, 57 to 38 the inside 50s. Geelong get another one belatedly. Spanger got plenty of contact where he's got plenty of hair.
How much they love him,
don't they? He's become a cult figure.
Yeah. Doing his best work in September, Pete.
Yeah. That's the best time to be doing it.
Sheeny across to Wanganeen. A couple of the 1%ers that he did today were very important.
I was going to say, it's probably a little bit unlucky, Spanger, to He's playing on Friday night.
Not this time, and Burberry's going to get another consolation goal, which is going to make the scoreboard look a little bit better. That was not a great kick. Spanger really had no opportunity there. And Burberry, the man who kicked a goal round about this time in the grand final last year. And the look on his face that day was a lot different to the one we're looking at now.
Yeah, in 29 points, it doesn't really state the domination, I think, of Box Hill. They've missed a lot of opportunities to really put this game away a lot earlier, but full credit to the Cats. They're fighting it out.
Well, you do see that in finals, don't you? We saw it in the Sydney Carlton final in the AFL last week when the Swans were home at three-quarter time, put the cue in the rack. Fremantle effectively did the same thing last night. They're just counting it down now, Darren, to the final siren and holding up the cup and doing the lap of honour.
And sadly, a few of the crowd who were in attendance have gone home. We'll get a final number on that in a moment as Wangadeen marks at half-back. Chips it to Hallahan, who's been good again today. Smets arches his back and hand passes it to Hunt. It's a hospital hand pass again. His body was opened up. Barham arches his back, gives it to Thurlow, and the Tasmanian drives it long and misses to the left. It's 71-99 as that does not quite tell the full story of the 15,100 who are here today, because a few of the Cats fans, I reckon, Pete, have departed early. That second level and the lower level here at Docklands were packed in the early stages of the, or for most of the match, we should say.
Yeah, the Westgate's pretty busy at the moment, you would think, as Sheeny kicks up in the Loudon direction, and who's presented a big target today. Langford chases it over the line. A couple of the things he did, just recalling that little handball that he got out of the pack in front of goals, which set up a goal to Shane Savage. And they've just all played their part.
Yep, that's it. You look right through their team and you can't find a bad player. They have just really put a very good Geelong team who've been, they come in the hottest of hot favourites to win this game, and they weren't allowed to play their own style of football.
Grimley, Retzlaff screaming inside 50. He's popped it over his head. He had to run with the flight. Sully did okay. Here's Tobin, taken down by Thurlow in a strong tackle. The Cats fans still who are here finding their voice, but Matthew Knight's not sharing it, along with Max Rook.
Robbie, I'm here.
Damien Carroll, with every tick of the clock, knows he's getting closer to the big prize. Hallahan taken down to the ground. And the umpire, Brett Ritchie, will come in. What do you think of the umpires today? Reece, by and large, I think.
Yeah, look, we haven't noticed it, so they've done a pretty good job, as they have most of the year.
And neutral supporters tend to be, or neutral fans tend to be able to see that, but if you support one team or the other, of course, you can pick things. Here's Spanger again, putting on a bit of a show. One-handed pick up, and then Exxon tried to kick it out of mid-air. Barham got some heavy contact down behind the play. Down he goes. He is back up, and the Cats might get another consolation one through Burberry. The chase is really good from Litherland. Look at him go. He came off his boot. He came from 10 metres behind and got up level, and that just embodies what the Box Hill Hawks have been about all day today.
That's just terrific. I mean, the game's over. It's just that little bit of effort, which, as I've mentioned, it just becomes contagious right throughout the whole team, and you feel like you don't want to let your teammates down, and that's how they played today, and they've been fantastic, Box Hill.
His kick out is marked by West. They lead by 27 points. And it might get a little bit less as Sheringham drives through another goal. So that is their third consolation goal. Geelong 11-12-78. Box Hill 14-15-99. As we tick past 30 minutes in the grand final, it is just delaying the inevitable Box Hill triumph.
Yeah, it is, but full credit, Geelong fighting the game out, as you'd expect. They've had a terrific year when you look back on the year. This is probably the only real disappointment that's going to come out of it. But
well, their other two losses were both by 13 points.
Yep.
So it's the only thumping of the year that they've had, and unfortunately for the Cats, it is in the game that matters most.
They're only 21 points down when you think about it.
Smets to Barham. Siren! It's the start of what might be a very big week for the brown and gold. Damien Carroll celebrates. Matthew Knight's dejected after failing at the quest to go back-to-back, and the Hawks win the flag in the VFL in 2013 with a simply stunning team performance. The final margin 21, and that does not give an indicator as to how good they were.
Well, it just has been a really, really good win by a great team. And when I say team, that's what I mean. Every single player, when it was their turn to put their nose over the footy, put the tackle on, put their body on the line for their teammates, they did it time and time again. And they just outworked Geelong. Geelong come here the hottest of hot favourites. And unfortunately, were outworked by a very, very good Box Hill Hawks team. Congratulations to him.
And the man who put the icing on the cake with the goal at the 17-minute mark to put it completely beyond doubt, the veteran, Michael Osborne, is with Phil Cleary.
Michael, I was close to you on the boundary line. I watched everything you did. I saw you feeling your shoulder. I watched that last goal. That was a big game for you, really big.
Yeah, it was great. The boys come in underdogs. Yes. They've been working hard all year, and the effort they put in today. I mean, it was a hot contest. Both teams real physical, and Box Hill boys really ripped in, and they deserve this win.
Look, you took it away from Geelong early, didn't you? You surprised them. Your midfield run was fantastic. Your attack was brilliant.
Yeah, the intensity, everything we just focused on. Winning contested ball, really spreading hard and trying to outnumber them and just work hard forward and backward, and I think we did it pretty well, although, Geelong did get a few players spitting forward at times that troubled us.
For you, you started with that Box Hill Premiership in 2001, you had an AFL Premiership and another VFL. It's a lovely career, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, there's been some quality blokes come through Hawthorn over the last few years I've been involved, and it's great to get another flag under the belt.
And it's great as a senior player, isn't it, to see the young blokes stand up to take on the side that looked invincible most of the year and to knock them over. That must be good for you as an elder statesman in the team.
Yeah, it's good to be involved, and seeing the young guys at Hawthorn and Box Hill really step up their game and go up against a really great team in Geelong as well. So it's good to be involved with those boys, giving it their all and getting rewarded for it.
Great game to you. All the best for the Hawks next week.
Thanks, Phil.
Well done.
Terrific stuff from Michael Osborne. Jonathan Simpkin, well, it'll be a great victory for him, but he'll know a lot of the players wearing the blue and white hoops very well after being the best and fairest winner the past 2 years at that club. The look on Matty Knight's face says it all. You've been on both ends. It's a lonely place when you're a loser in a grand final.
Well, it can be really disappointing when you know you've got the team, which Matty Knights would know, but you've got to get out with the right attitude. And we talk about above the shoulders and how much that influences and the heart. And that's what you look at this Box Hill team. Every one of their players contributed when they had to. They were fantastic. They didn't take their foot off the pedal right from the first bounce, and they just put Geelong under pressure. Geelong have had it, when they're allowed to play their way, they're a fantastic team, but they weren't allowed to play the way they wanted to play today.
Let's hear from another of the Box Hill Hawks stars, Kyle Cheney, with Phil Cleary.
Kyle, I marvelled at your back half today, and you were so supreme, your use of the body. Gee, that was a good performance by the team collectively, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, for sure, mate. We, especially down back, we had the likes of Matty Spanger was sensational today, and just the willingness for the boys to put their body on the line, like you said, is just outstanding. And it's a great club and a great culture, and it's fantastic.
He's a live wire, isn't he? You go about your business, you're bumping and pushing and that. He's flying through the air, pushing the ball out, getting excited.
Oh, it's good to watch, isn't it?
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, outstanding.
And what about Kyle at the start of the game? Games are won in that first part often. You took it away. You took the wind out of Geelong's sails, didn't you?
Yeah, well, it was big Sammy Grimley up forward. He was taking some big clunks, and it was sensational to get off to a start like that and put him on the back foot early, which is what we wanted.
Good for Damien Carroll. He's been around,
Oh, he's a ripper. He's an absolute ripper. We all love him.
Good on you. So you should.
Thanks, Phil. Thanks.
Kyle Cheney speaking with Phil Cleary, and I think he made a very good point there. It was a statement of intent from the word go. Simpkin kicks a goal in the first minute. Loudon kicks a goal in the third minute. Grimley kicks a goal in the fourth minute. And all of a sudden, before they know where they are, Geelong are 19 points down.
Yeah, well, I mean, and it really did look like it was going to be a shootout early, and we thought, well, that's going to suit Geelong. They like getting the ball out into space, using their skills, but To Hawthorn's, the Box Hill Hawks' credit, they were just fantastic, and they deserved that win because they just pressured and worked a lot harder than what Geelong did.
And the crowd comes streaming onto the ground. Sam Isles has been a bit of a journeyman. He's been around in football. This might be just about his biggest moment. He's with
Gee,
Phil.
Sam, I was close to the game, watching you all come off the bench. I could see the excitement. Your game, that was a supreme game. That's one of your best, wasn't it? Individually?
I don't know about individually. It was obviously
you were good.
No, it was a good team effort on the obviously on Etihad on grand final day. So it was all the boys played well.
Everyone said you had to take the wind out of Geelong's sails in the midfield. Your midfield was supreme. You got the ball forward. You played with such energy early.
I think it was obviously our defence. Started with defence. The way we could stop their run. The way we could stop their run through the midfield and their transition. So it worked well for us.
Could you just feel it going your way? I mean, they were the favourite side. You know, many people said they couldn't be beaten. That was big, wasn't it? Take off.
Yeah, we had to.
We've lost you. Well done.
Get inside that rope, Phil. Well, for as many smiles as there are out there, there's a few tears of joy as well. It's an emotional time when you win a flag, and it's showing out there amongst the Box Hill Hawks faithful, who carry pretty proudly the Mustang on the jumpers.
Yeah, and you've got to feel for the players who didn't make it, into the final team, and their captain, Daniel Pratt, was one of them who unfortunately hadn't played enough footy over the last 2 or 3 months and didn't earn his spot in the team, which is disappointing from their point of view, but it's a great result for Box Hill. They've been around the mark for a long time, and they've just come good when it really counted, and that's finals time, and that's September, and that's a magnificent win by them because that's a real team effort.
Yeah, and what it might do, there might be a knock-on effect here for the whole football club, the Hawthorn part of the football club, because look at that joy, look at that sense of joy. That's infectious when it gets around the club. And when the players get to training tomorrow and they start talking to the AFL listed players throughout the week, I think there is a rub-off, feel-good factor about a win like this when you're going into the big one on Saturday.
Oh, look, if Hawthorn come out with that same attitude, they'll win next week, and that's what they need to do. And you need every single player to buy in on that that journey that you want to go on over the 100 minutes, and that's what every one of these players did. They were just terrific from the first bounce to the last bounce.
It's been a long, hard slog, but to the winner go the spoils, and we are about to find that out as we head down for the official presentation after the VFL Grand Final of 2013. Our Master of Ceremonies is Darren Boyd.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 2013 Premiership and the Grand Final has been run and won, and congratulations to the Box Hill Hawks, their second ever VFL Premiership. To the Geelong side, who know what it is to win on this day, they were so superb all season, losing just twice in the home and away year. 13 wins on the trot coming into this grand final, but beaten by a better opponent today. We say to the Geelong Footy Club, congratulations. And if we can now invite the captain of the Geelong Football Club, Troy Selwood, to the microphone. Troy?
Well done to the Box Hill Football Club. Definitely the best team in the competition this year. Should be really proud of yourselves, and all the best to the Hawthorn Footy Club next week in the grand final of the AFL. To our boys, we'll suck it up. We'll have some time off, and we'll come back bigger and better this year. So next year, we'll be right. Don't worry about that.
I'd now like to invite Mr. Grant Williams, the General Manager of AFL Victoria, to the stage to present the medal that is awarded to the best player in the 2013 VFL Grand Final. And the Norm Goss Medal for 2013 goes to a player from the Box Hill Hawks with 26 disposals and 2 goals, Jonathan Simpkin.
Firstly, to all the Geelong boys, Nida, Selzy, you've been a great side all year, and we know you'll be back bigger and better than ever next year. It's a great club, and enjoy it. To our boys, been a great year. We've been underdogs all the way along, and it feels good. So, and all the supporters, thanks.
Congratulations to Jonathan. Premiership player 2 years in a row. I would now like to invite Mr. Nick Jackson from Peter Jackson Menswear to the dais to present the medals to the victorious players and coach from the Box Hill Hawks Football Club. Starting with number 2, Mark Locke. Number 3, Bryce Retzlaff. Number 7, Sam Isles. #23, Xavier Murphy. #31, Liam Tobin. #33, Ryan Exon. #34, Jordan Kelly. #35, Sam Grimley. #37, Jed Anderson. #38, Mitch Hallahan. Number 40, Tim O'Brien. Number 41, Taylor Duray. Number 46, Derek Wanganeen. #47, Jonathan Segler. #61, Angus Litherland. Number 63, Kyle Cheney. Number 65, Will Langford. I expect a reasonable cheer for 67, Matt Spanger. Number 70, Luke Loudon. Number 71, Shane Savage. Number 72, Jonathan Simpkin. What about the bloke who's the only player to have won 2 premierships for the VFL Senior Club, Michael Osborne? As well as an AFL premiership, of course. Now, the captain of the Box Hill Hawks, number 1, Dave Mirror. And with him, Daniel Pratt.
And now to accept his premiership medallion, of course, a man who was up here 3 times as a player and now as a coach, Damien Carroll.
Yeah, firstly to Geelong, we really respect the way you guys go about it. You've been a great side for the last couple of years and you really set a new benchmark for the VFL, something for all clubs to aspire to. So yeah, we greatly respect the way you go about it. To our guys, it's been a long time coming for the club. The last time we won it was in 2001. So boys, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of every single one of you, the way you went about it. We've delivered something for the club, something that we can remember and look back on for the years to come. Thirdly, to our skipper, Praddy, unlucky to miss out, mate. We respect you and we hold you in the highest regard, mate. You're an absolute credit to yourself and all the boys love you, mate. So thanks for everything you've done for us. Cheers.
Yeah, thank you to everyone. Very humbling, but firstly, we'd like to say thanks to the Geelong Football Club. They're a fantastic unit. The reason why this means so much to us as a club is because of the club you are and what you've set as a scene. So, again, from our football club, can we put our hands together for the Geelong boys today and throughout the season? They've been fantastic, and commiserations to Matthew Knights for a wonderful effort that he's done at the helm there. So well done to the Cats. Just in terms of our club, obviously our sponsors, Start 21, Roman Caravans, and all our sponsors who help out. A really big thank you to get us out there. I know as a club, guys like Tony Pinwell and the directors have put us together. The boys are restless, I know, but just to take one more minute to thank the alignment, Hawthorn Football Club. The way that they have embraced the Box Hill alignment is terrific. We've got some wonderful people working together from our assistant coaches here and down at the footy club as well. But overall, just want to thank these boys. They've come out today and done something unbelievable, I think, and really committed to the cause, and they had to do it. They did a wonderful job for guys like Praddy, but for everyone who's been involved with our squad, throughout the year, we thank you. Thanks to our fans. We'll have a great time tonight, and hopefully there's one more win next week. Well done.
Congratulations, and beautifully said, David and Damien. And of course now, ladies and gentlemen, there is only one thing left to do. Nick Jackson has the Premiership Cup and he's about to give it to the Box Hill Hawks, the 2013 VFL Premiers.
Some of those young men might have just experienced the biggest moment of their footballing life. They will look back on this day and those images with great pride that they've been able to emerge as the champion team. And I thought it was a great gesture, David Rhys-Jones, from Damien Carroll as he came forward, that man, and he handed his premiership medallion straight to Daniel Pratt.
Yeah, look, terrific. And I just watched as the players all got up on the stage, Daniel Pratt, he slinked off a little bit. And it's strange because, I mean, he won't feel part of it, you know, not having played and being out there. And it's just one of the unfortunate things that, you know, only 23 players can be out there on the day, and you can't play them all. And he's played his role, though, as captain and as leader of a very good club.
We've spoken to Damien Carroll a lot throughout the year. Phil Cleary has been singing his praises, and now he is the champion coach because he's got that cup in his keeping, and he's obviously a very proud man as he speaks with Phil Cleary.
Well, Damien, we've got Heath with us. How are you, Heath? Everything all right? Your dad went okay?
Yeah, good.
Yeah, he did. Good. Thank you very much. You know, you can dream about these things. You know, have this great career at Springvale, and you go in first grand final, premiership. Gee, you played well, your boys. They played so well, Damien.
Yeah, they were so committed, Phil. Oh, look, it was just, we had to be as well. They're a quality side, and it just wrapped to get the result, and enormously indebted to the group for what they've been able to do for our footy club. And we thought we were in pretty good position when a lot of good players missed out today. So, you know, we probably had as strong a team as we've had all year. So I suppose it's a little bit about timing, and you know, we respect the Cats enormously. So I'm sure they'll be feeling that, but it's great for our boys.
Your late mother would be smiling from heaven, wouldn't she, on you today? That would have been something she'd have loved.
Yeah, I think so. And look, the whole family and Dad, I hope he got up for it.
Dad was a bit crook today.
Yeah, he was, but I think he'll be feeling better now. But not about me, just about everyone I think who's helped us today as a footy club get the win. It's a super place. Had a great time at Casey and had a great time at Box Hill. So they're all good places, VFL clubs, as you know, Phil.
And I know you would deflect it from yourself. You're that kind of person. But let's just look at the way your side played. And you are the coach, so you take some responsibility for that. You jumped out of the blocks. You mesmerised Geelong in the midfield. You caught the ball inside 50. It was a consummate performance, wasn't it, early?
Yeah, look, it was, and we thought that if we could stay in the game as long as possible, or be ahead, that it might put some doubts in their mind. So, thankfully for us, we got the result, Phil, and it's just terrific.
And the greatest moment of your football career now? This it?
Look, I think I've always said that nothing beats playing the game, but this is hugely satisfying, and it probably won't hit me for a while because I didn't expect it against such a good opposition, but just very grateful, very privileged, and there's a lot of people who've helped get this, so certainly not just...
well done to all of them, and well done to you, Damien. A lot of people love you. Good on you, well done.
Thanks, Phil. Thanks for the support from the ABC. Cheers, mate.
He's certainly a much-loved man at that football club. He touched on an interesting point about when it might sink in. When did it sink in for you? Was it immediate, or did it take maybe until the next day when you woke up and you thought, oh, it wasn't a dream after all?
Look, it is immediate. I mean, it's just a relief. It's a lot of hard work's gone in. Look, three-quarter time, Damien Carroll mentioned something, contested hunt for the footy, and that's what really stuck out. I mean, when he said those words, I'm thinking, that's what they had drilled into them, and he did a terrific job coaching them today. They matched up very well. They knew what they had to do to beat Geelong, and he did it.
What about the guys who are in contention, the ones that we spoke about at the start of the day, Duray Savage in particular, but that man, Matt Spanger, he's really put his hand up at that performance today.
Yeah, look, he was very good at AFL level a few weeks back, and, unfortunate that Buddy coming back pushed him back. Jed Anderson was another one who got pushed out through Morrisville, I nearly said. Cyril was showing me age there, but Cyril Rioli, and they were both very unlucky to be dropped. Duray has got to be in there, but gee, they all put their hand up. Every single Hawthorn listed player showed what it takes to just take apart a very, very good Geelong team. You're going to remember how good this Geelong team has been throughout the course of the year, and I thought getting here on Etihad Stadium, the wide open spaces, they were just going to, play the game that they've shown all year, and they weren't allowed to do it. And there was a terrific effort, terrific coaching effort, but terrific team effort by the Box Hill Hawks, and that's the way to win grand finals.
The Geelong rooms are going to be a very silent place at the moment. You've experienced that atmosphere, and it's one of the worst atmospheres that you can experience in sport when you go into a losing team's rooms after a grand final.
Yeah, it is, but you need to learn from it, and that's the one thing about it. If you don't learn from it, you're not going to go anywhere, and you really need to dissect the things, listen to what the coach has to say, and really take it all in, because you've got to come back bigger and better, because that'll hurt for a long time.
It will. On reflection, I guess, tomorrow they look back on a great season where they only lost 2 games leading into the grand final, as we said, by 13 points, both of those losses. But you feel like at this stage, even though you've made it to the last 2, you feel as though the whole season has been wasted.
Well, it does. That's the feeling you do have, and it's a natural feeling, and to some extent it has been, because this is what it's all about. This is what all the hard work goes in, and when I mention hard work, that's where Geelong were beaten. They were beaten by a harder working team, and the Box Hill Hawks just, from that first bounce, worked hard, got the result done, put pressure on Geelong. The pressure that they applied, and it becomes infectious right throughout the team. They just really did bust themselves, and terrific effort.
Interesting to note, they kicked 11 goals between them in the first quarter, and they kicked 14 goals between them in the next 3 quarters.
Yeah.
It couldn't stay that way. The coaches said that at quarter time. It couldn't stay as a shootout, because probably if it had have, you would have been favouring Geelong, but that's where the defensive unit of Box Hill, and what a good defensive unit it's been, the best one all year, came to the fore.
Yeah, and Spanger and Cheney, Mirror was another one back there, Litherland. They look like they're going to get monstered early, but they really did stick to their guns. Midfield midfield got on top, and that's where the game was won. And they were able to put a lot of pressure on the Geelong midfield, and they turned the ball over time and time again.
And they won the last quarter 4-5 to 2-5, but it was immaterial. And really, the margin of 21 points is very flattering for Geelong.
Yeah, I think it is. I think, you look at that, and a lot of these possessions were under severe pressure, and look, they're a very good team. So, just to beat them's hard enough, but they were just beaten at their own game. I just think they just didn't work hard enough, and that's what they'll take out of that game.
I think Dom Gleeson might have a dual reason to be upset because of that bump in the first quarter. It looks as though he's probably gone. He won't be thinking about that at the moment. But it's ended a sad year for a man who came across from Werribee, has been really good at Geelong since he's come across, but it's going to be sour in a couple of ways, you would think.
Oh, look, I mean, you remember the smile on his face last year.
Yeah.
The happiest man you'd ever see. But I think I mentioned very early in the game, the harder you work, the luckier you get, and Box Hill, they got very lucky today.
And lots of their fans are out there and able to share the moment. That's great for the fans who've stuck with them through thick and thin. We've been through a couple of very wet days at the Box Hill City Oval throughout the year, and you've got to appreciate the efforts of the supporters who follow their team, not only here in Melbourne, but indeed to various parts of Victoria throughout the VFL season.
Oh, yeah, and Box Hill have got a great support. You'd never get down to their ground and it's empty. It doesn't matter rain, hail or shine. Their supporters are right behind them, and look, you head into the other rooms, it really is a desolate feeling, but what do? You've just got to butter up again. I mean, they need to take in the words. Pre-season will be tough. They'll have to reflect on a lot of things and just work out what it was that got them beaten today.
And you'll probably look back on some little moments, not the spectacular moments, but Langford's handball to create a goal, Exxon's touch on the goal line, Litherland when the game was won, that chase where he came from 10 metres behind in the last quarter. Well, you often talk about those team performances, and you've referenced that. It was simply a magnificent across-the-board performance by this team.
Yeah, look, we've seen it right throughout the AFL final series, the VFL final series, and it really is. You need to get every player to buy in on the argument you've got, and that's what they're good. This bloke, he was running around development league earlier this year. I saw him, and just struggling along with his footy. Comes good at the right time. Matt Spanger's another one we talked about, who played very well in the Hawthorn AFL team, a few weeks back, and was unlucky to be dropped. Look, he may get back up there next week. There's been an injury, and his form's been terrific. So someone will get up there. It's a real good headache for Alistair Clarkson to have, I think.
To sum up, it's been a very good year in the VFL. The two best teams came up in the grand final and produced a very good grand final, changing face of the competition next year because we see Williamstown and Coburg going alone and Footscray coming in and also Richmond coming in. So it's going to be a different competition again next year.
Look, the standard of this competition has improved year after year, and it is a very good competition. There are a lot of players are going to get picked up, when the drafting starts at the end of the year. There's a lot of good VFL listed players. The standard's good, and as you saw today, that was a great game of football, and take nothing away from, Geelong were a little bit poorer than what they have been previously, but overall, the standard of football was fantastic.
Well, on behalf of all of us in front of the camera, thanks to the people behind the camera, headed by our executive producer, Kirsty Bradmore, Jacob Walker, our producer, Sam Morwood, who's also produced, Lila, who's actually in charge of everything in the truck, and Paul Field, our good friend, our statistician, who's had some health issues this year.
Yeah, great bloke, Paul, and I know if you're watching, and let's hope you're back next year, Paul.
Well done to you. I hope you've enjoyed our VFL coverage this year, and indeed over the last 10 years. It's probably going to be my last VFL game, but our coverage will continue next year on Grandstand. We'll see you then.